Part 284. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2843. To be honest, the white armor figure flying in the sky is not eye-catching, but it is a bit overwhelming. But if Qing Yishui were to switch to all white armor, the effect would be different. The white light was shining all the way, extremely dazzling and eye-catching. Not all the people in the green water beach were in black robes, the native bandits were all dumbfounded. Jia Yan rose slowly under the support of everyone. The men in white robes, who were attracting all the attention, also turned their attention to this rising man. Is this person the so-called invincible black robe? Yes, he is the one in black robe, and he is extremely arrogant. Next to the white armored troops, there was a group of people wearing white robes. Originally, the white-robed messenger was conspicuous enough. His magnanimity and strength could be said to be outstanding among ordinary planets, and he was a god-level existence. But if it is left next to the white armor troops of the front-line troops, it is like the stars meeting the bright moon, and the brilliance is completely obscured. In the white-robed messenger's groveling and embellished description, the armor masters were too indignant and just looked at the man rising below indifferently, and many of them showed interest. Of course, there are more armored soldiers, but there are fierce flames gushing out. The only person on this planet who is enough to arouse the interest of their front-line troops is a man in white robes who claims to have conquered the entire planet. He is suspected of being invincible, so he still needs to be strictly vigilant. When Jia Yan, carrying a wave of air, floated in from the underground wind and reached the same height as many white god soldiers, everyone's eyes lit up. What an outstandingly strong man! Tall and full of heroic spirit, his eyes are piercing and divine, and there is a faint brilliance of wisdom that ordinary people cannot reach. As expected, he was the character who beat many martial arts stars in white robes until they were running away with their heads in their arms. Originally, the front-line troops of the White God Department were thinking about whether the so-called master reported by the white robes was a character fabricated by them to evade the crime. Now that I met him in person, I realized that what the white-robed men said was true. This black-robed strong man was obviously no ordinary person. Everyone from the White God Department, why do you want to come to my green water beach? Jia Yan was calm, turning a blind eye to the large number of white god officers and soldiers in front of him. He made a rough calculation and found that there were about 3,000 people in this group of white god masters. Half of the officers and soldiers who got off the spaceship rushed here, so they still looked up to him quite highly. You kill me, a front-line warrior of the White God Department. As officers and soldiers of the White God Department, we have the obligation to kill you. Your Excellency, if you don't want to cause more bloodshed, just go ahead and capture yourself. Someone stands out from the crowd. This person reached the pinnacle of strength with all his strength, and made no secret of the fluctuations that he had reached the invincible realm. This is deterrence. The White God Department knows that Jia Yan may be in the invincible realm, and it is impossible to send troops without the invincible realm to kill him. Even if a large number of venerable levels join forces, they can kill the invincible realm, but there is no need for meaningless sacrifices. Jia Yan nodded and looked at the glamorous man. I did kill several white-robed envoys from your force, but it was the white-robed ones who took action first. If you want to pursue the case, you might as well find out why the white-robed ones ignored the front-line regulations and attacked my black-robed envoys. There is no need for rhetoric. In the front-line war, everything depends on strength. How about, if you are interested, you can fight with us. If we defeat you, we can avoid the bloodshed in this area. The master of the White God system silently assumed a fighting stance. Front-line soldiers never like to talk or fight. Being able to talk so much with Jia Yan is an act of admiration for him as an invincible master. Otherwise, they would just start fighting directly, and there would be so much nonsense. Then let's get started. I don't want to fight with you. It's a pity. The ghost-headed sword carried on Jia Yan's back flew out of its scabbard, exuding a devastating aura. Although the material of this weapon, which I picked up casually from the arsenal, was not of the highest quality, under the power of a master, it already had the power of a magical weapon. Good sword, Your Excellency. Etc. The invincible master on the opposite side was about to take action, but unexpectedly Jia Yan shouted to stop. Under the questioning gaze of the other party, Jia Yan silently looked at the many masters in black robes who were following him, and asked the female in black robes by name. Remember to start the video to prove that the white robes started this fight on their own initiative, so they don't have to pretend that I started the fight with them later. Yes. The woman in black robe was startled, nodded repeatedly, and turned on the video recording function. You'd better videotape it, and I'll kill you later, so you can have two-sided evidence. You. The white god-type invincible realm expert's face showed an expression of embarrassment and anger. However, among the white-robed messengers, there were still some who honestly took out the video recording tool, turned on the video recording function, and started recording. In fact, in this kind of battle, the automatic video recording equipment is originally turned on. Just to become evidence recognized by both parties, the high-definition and encrypted data recording functions will be enabled. In this way, no matter whether the two parties are arguing or using intrigue, in a confrontation, using this video recording function will have a certain evidence effect, but its effect is based on strength. So the other party turned on the video recording function after being reminded by Jia Yan. Generally speaking, they would not fight on such a small planet, because no matter how far the war went, neither side would waste their energy arguing with the other party because of such a small planet. But after Jia Yan said it, some of them suddenly realized that this battle is likely to involve a confrontation in the invincible realm, and that level is different. It is also extremely necessary to turn on the regular recording function to avoid being invincible in any aspect later. Sacrifice and cry for father and mother again. After taking precautions, the two sides suddenly escalated the level of tension again. No matter how much they brag about themselves, no matter how much they say that these white god-type officers and soldiers are warriors who have fought on the front line, it cannot be as powerful as winning a direct victory on the battlefield. Clang. The ghost-headed sword that had been suspended in the sky for a long time fell into Jia Yan's hands, and the opponent's invincible general also tightened his grip on the weapon again. His heart began to grow heavy, and adrenaline exploded. The wind was blowing quietly. Under the earth, beasts are running away, but people feel the cry from the depths of their souls, from the bottom of their hearts. Their instinct tells them that this is a battle that they cannot watch, and running away quickly is the main issue. However, no one escaped. It was not that they didn't want to escape, but someone in Greenwater Beach had previously issued a notice to all the people. They did not have to escape in this battle. Regardless of the black and white gods, they would not easily harm ordinary people, otherwise it would cause an interstellar question. People don't know what the interstellar problem is, but they understand it and simply don't run away. Such a rare scene, maybe if you escape, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Moreover, even if you escape, where can you escape? It is too late to escape now. They have seen this kind of master. Once the fight starts, he will be surrounded by dozens of kilometers. It may not be safe. It's too late for them to escape now. The entire atmosphere once again became extremely serious on the eve of a volcanic eruption. Puff. Just when a flying bird seemed to be dizzy due to its momentum, it passed through the middle area between the two people, causing ripples in the air. The opponent's white god type was invincible, his eyes trembled, and he was about to seize the opportunity to take action. Etc. Jia Yan spoke again in an angry voice. The invincible Bai Shen type's strength was almost completely exhausted in one go. He was almost bleeding on the spot. His breath was extremely disordered and it took him half a second to stabilize. Your Excellency, what do you want to do? He resisted the desire to vomit blood, his eyes were full of evil. I just thought that our men are too close. If we start a fight and cannot hold back, it might affect them. Let them go further away. The white god type invincible opened his mouth. Thinking about it, it seems that he has been a little hasty. He has fought too much on the front line battlefield. He doesn't care if the friendly forces are too close. It seems that on a peaceful planet, he should pay more attention to similar incidents. Whoever is accidentally affected may be tried by a military court later. Did you hear that? Stay back, you bunch of bastards, and I'm still telling you. The invincible Bayesian type couldn't help but turned around and cursed his own troops. Jia Yan also looked back and asked the black robes to stay away. The black robes who originally wanted to help in the battle hesitated again and again, but realized that even if they stayed, they could not be the enemies of the invincible realm. Even if they fought with other troops of the White God Department, they would probably be like meat buns fighting dogs. There was no return, so the group of people retreated in despair. After experiencing the escape incident, almost all those who stayed behind were somewhat loyal and righteous. Is this okay, Your Excellency? Okay, sorry, I am more concerned about the safety of my subordinates, otherwise I wouldn't be sent to such a small planet as an ordinary black robe, right? The other person thought the same thing. The intelligence stated that after this black robe from the Black God system came to this planet, even the black robe system did not know that he had this ability. If there was no abnormality in the white robe, this black robe might have such hidden strength becomes an ordinary black robe, and it will not be exposed until the black robe mission on this planet is completed. Forget it, since this person protects his subordinates more than he does, can he still blame him? There are indeed some benevolent people among the black gods. Bai Shenwudi sighed, and his eyes gradually stopped thinking about what happened before. The momentum gradually burst out in his eyes, and gradually condensed again, rising to the limit just now. It's just that the momentum this time is slightly weaker than before. After all, as the saying goes, if you try hard at once, you will be exhausted again and again. Jia Yan also creaked, holding the ghost head sword loudly. The two sides were about to explode, and the signs of a battle between top masters became more and more obvious. The color of heaven and earth changes. Bai Shen's invincible eyes gradually became intense, and he was just about to shoot the attack. Etc. Jia Yan roared again. The invincible Bayesian type trembled all over, and almost couldn't hold it back, so he hit Jia Yan with his weapon. But thinking that this person is a person who loves his subordinates and is still in the invincible state, a sense of sympathy between the masters arises spontaneously. This time, the white god invincible suppresses the attack for no reason and looks at Jia Yan fiercely. Sir, what do you want to do? Fight or not? Sorry, my scalp is itchy, let me scratch it. Itchy scalp. Damn it. Guanking's previous stop trick was all playing on me, right? The invincible white god type reacted immediately. If the strong man in black robe in front of him really loved the people like a son, he wouldn't have shouted stop again and again. His only purpose of shouting stop was to make fun of people. Your Excellency, what do you want to do? He resisted the desire to vomit blood, his eyes were full of evil. I just thought that our men are too close. If we start a fight and cannot hold back, it might affect them. Let them go further away. The white god type invincible opened his mouth. Thinking about it, it seems that he has been a little hasty. He has fought too much on the front line battlefield. He doesn't care if the friendly forces are too close. It seems that on a peaceful planet, he should pay more attention to similar incidents. Whoever is accidentally affected may be tried by a military court later. Did you hear that? Stay back, you bunch of bastards, and I'm still telling you. The invincible Bayesian type couldn't help but turned around and cursed his own troops. Jia Yan also looked back and asked the black robes to stay away. The black robes who originally wanted to help in the battle hesitated again and again, but realized that even if they stayed, they could not be the enemies of the invincible realm. Even if they fought with other troops of the White God Department, they would probably be like meat buns fighting dogs. There was no return, so the group of people retreated in despair. After experiencing the escape incident, almost all those who stayed behind were somewhat loyal and righteous. "Is this okay, Your Excellency?" "Okay, okay, sorry, I am more concerned about the safety of my subordinates, otherwise I wouldn't be sent to such a small planet as an ordinary black robe, right?" The other person thought the same thing. The intelligence stated that after this black god-type black robe came to this planet, even the black robe system did not know that he had this ability. If there is no abnormality in the white robe, this black robe may hide his strength and become an ordinary black robe, and will not be exposed until he completes the black robe mission on this planet. Forget it, since this person protects his subordinates more than he does, can he still blame him? There are indeed some benevolent people among the black gods. Bai Shen Wudi sighed, and his eyes gradually stopped thinking about what happened before. The momentum gradually burst out in his eyes, and gradually condensed again, rising to the limit just now. It's just that the momentum this time is slightly weaker than before. After all, as the saying goes, if you try hard at once, you will be exhausted again and again. Jia Yan also creaked, holding the ghost head sword loudly. The two sides were about to explode, and the signs of a battle between top masters became more and more obvious. The color of heaven and earth changes. Bai Shen's invincible eyes gradually became intense, and he was just about to shoot the attack. Etc. Jia Yan roared again. The invincible Baishan type trembled all over, and almost couldn't hold it back, so he hit Jia Yan with his weapon. But thinking that this person is a person who loves his subordinates and is still in the invincible state, a sense of sympathy between the masters arises spontaneously. This time, the white god Invincible suppresses the attack for no reason and looks at Jia Yan fiercely. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2844. Seeing the two sides fighting with all their strength, the captain in black robe put his hand on his forehead. I knew, this person doesn't act like someone who will obey the rules obediently. No wonder he was exiled to such a battlefield. As the saying goes, a man's greatest enemy is himself. Once a beautiful false sense is formed, it will not be easily changed. He has accepted that Jia Yan is invincible, or the kind of being who only comes to work on this planet because of unspeakable secrets. It's like an exile exiled here. In this way, everything matches up. This person was promoted to the martial arts star simply because of his personality. Ping. Ping ping. The two men were as powerful as rainbows, their weapons clashed with each other, spears, dragons and snakes swam away, and ghost heads and swords were overwhelming. The ear-piercing screams spread throughout the world, and the air waves soared into the sky, causing everyone in the surrounding area to retreat involuntarily. The earth was blasted with a huge hole. Greenwater Beach was originally a swamp with thousands of lakes. After being bombarded by shock waves from both sides, a huge and unfathomable lake was formed directly in the center. The surrounding small lakes all evaporated. The Black and White God Department only said that they would try not to harm innocent people, but they did not guarantee that they would protect even every plant and tree. It was impossible for them to do this. The only ones who really restrain them are each other. Those so-called neutral forces and the like, if they really want to confront each other, no matter which side is killing them like ants, they say they will be as good to other forces as possible, but if necessary, they will kill. Without any scruples. Although the people in Greenwater Beach have been properly resettled, if they stay in the wild for various reasons, no one will be responsible for the death or injury. This is war. Your Excellency has good methods, but his character is too ugly. The invincible Bai Shen type only felt that the spear in his hand was extremely heavy. Every time he fought with Jia Yan, a huge force would rush into his mouth, making his palms and arms sore. The so-called black cat and white cat, the one that can catch mice, is a good cat. If you want to admit defeat, just say so. It's not like I can't spare your life. It's a shameless talk. Jia Yan shouted back, causing the other party's demeanor to become completely distorted. This person in the invincible realm has probably seen the world. He clearly has the strength of the invincible realm, but he still behaves so shamelessly. Perhaps this is the most shattering thing for him after reaching the invincible realm. There is such an invincible situation in the world, and it is true that the same rice can support hundreds of people. Jia Yan had already seized the opportunity and had just taken advantage of this person's unexpected timing, causing an irreversible reduction in the opponent's strength. It wasn't that difficult for him, because dealing with an invincible was not his original purpose. Since the clone took action in person, the purpose could not be just to save the lives of so many black robes. He needs to control the entire martial arts star situation. In other words, he needs to repel the white god army that came this time. The fight between the two sides soon entered the most intense and dangerous situation. These two people are really fighting. It's all because of the invincible black gods who are looking for trouble. We don't want their lives in the first place. You can't even get down the stairs. Such an arrogant person deserves to be killed by our family. Because of the differences between the two men, the white god soldiers retreated, but no one was worried. How could my own master, who was more than one level better than the strong man in black robe, lose to that villain? Well, my lord, I'm afraid things are going to be bad. On the other side, the black gods were frightened when they saw the two invincibles fighting in the sky. They couldn't see that their master was too provocative to his opponent, which resulted in the current situation of real fighting between the two sides. And no matter which angle you look at it, the master using the ghost-headed sword may not be able to compete with the opponent. In the battle between masters, character and momentum have a great impact. If you use despicable and shameless methods, you will leave holes in your momentum. What is even more uncomfortable is that you have used despicable and shameless methods and failed to give the other party. Causing fatal damage is equivalent to losing half the battle. Don't worry, we don't understand the mystery of this gentleman yet. How can we think that he must lose? The black-robed captain scolded his subordinates with exhaustion, causing everyone to shrink their heads. The captain's dignity still works. That's right, maybe he has other means, and he hasn't even used his full strength so far. The woman in black robe interrupted, making people look at her. They're shaking their heads. The captain is just cheering me up, at least there is some real evidence. You, a woman, just said that the strong man in black robe did not give his full strength. This is a bit bragging. In a fight between invincible realms, who would dare to say that they should be merciful or retain their strength? Almost no one would believe that. The invincible realm is not about the flowers and plants on the roadside. Which master who has reached this realm is not standing on the top of the mountain? Even the most powerful invincible state dare not boast about it when facing the weakest invincible state. The current situation on the battlefield is that the two invincible realms are almost evenly matched. How dare you say that the strong man didn't use his full strength? But long hair but short of knowledge is a common problem among women, so it's hard to say anything about this woman. Escape again. The spear pierced the air, but it caused large ripples in the air. The man holding the gun raised his head and found that Jia Yan had escaped to the sky through lightning and flint at some point. I didn't run away. Your attack was too slow and you couldn't hit me. Humph, if it weren't for the venue restrictions, I would definitely let you know how fast my gun is. Really? Well, we are all in this realm. Fighting on the surface of the planet is indeed a bit inconvenient. Follow me to the planet. Jia Yan continued to stimulate the man, then turned around and flew towards the sky of the planet. Okay, I'll kill you and I'll be done with it once and for all. The master of the invincible realm of the White God system, his expression unchanged, faced the blue sky, soared directly into the sky and followed closely behind. The expressions of everyone below once again stirred up a storm. Invincible masters are fighting on the planet, which means that they still have their own hands. But if the battle extends to the starry sky, it means that the two sides are ready to decide life and death. At least it is a serious battle without holding back any hands. What's going on? Didn't we agree to come to this planet and attack casually? It's just like having fun? Why are you hitting the stars? You have to fight hard. Everyone couldn't understand why the battle was like this. Not far away, there was a suspicious sound coming from inside the battleship. Is that guy actually invincible against the so-called black gods and showing real fire? This is rare. To avoid any surprises, I'll take a look. The owner of the speaking voice flew out of the battleship in a swaggering manner without any panic at all, closely following the two invincible realms as they fought and fled, not slowing down in pursuit. On the ground, the masters at the venerable level looked at each other in disbelief, and then secretly exchanged words. As for the black and white gods, there were people who stepped out from the crowd and silently went up to the sky together. No matter who wins or loses in this battle, judging from the level of fighting, it will not end well. As for the white gods, they have high fighting spirit. They don't think that their invincible masters will lose, and they don't think that there will be any accidental failure in their battle on this martial arts planet. As for the black gods, to be precise, the black-robed messengers all had ugly faces, as if they were mourning for their heirs. It was extremely difficult for them to deal with the white-robed messengers, let alone a true frontline force of the white gods, which was more numerous and more powerful. Even if this is just a partial division of the White God Department's frontline troops, here for fun, the frontline troops are the frontline troops, and they are not something that their mere second-line troops can fight against. They caught up to see the results of the battle. It was not just out of habit, otherwise they would see a military court. Captain, do you think we should ask for support from other black-robed teams? No need, they can't protect themselves. During the ascent, a noble-level subordinate asked quietly. The captain's answer was simple, that is, no need. The white god-type soldiers were divided into countless groups, fighting against a country's black-robed troops all the way. Judging from the configuration, regardless of the number of strong men or the number of people, they were all overwhelmingly stronger than the black-robed squads. Even if you ask for help, what's the use? The clay bodhisattva cannot save himself when crossing the river, so how can he have any energy left to help you? Moreover, judging from the current situation, it is estimated that the entire black-robed team on the planet is watching the changes here. Their only hope is the rising black-robed team who is invincible in fighting and escaping with the enemy. The strong men came, but instead of waiting for the strong men in black robes to go to support them, they asked them for help. What's the matter? If you really do that, morale will collapse instantly. There is no need to fight in the Battle of Wuxia Star. Come to Cheateon.com to subscribe, and you will be able to see this chapter after the official version refreshes in an hour. Once a beautiful sense of mistake is formed, it will not be easily changed. He has accepted that Jia Yan is invincible, or the kind of being who only comes to work on this planet because of unspeakable secrets. It's like an exile exiled here. In this way, everything matches up. This person was promoted to the martial arts star simply because of his personality. Ping. Ping ping. The two men were as powerful as rainbows, their weapons clashed with each other, spears, dragons and snakes swam away, and ghost heads and swords were overwhelming. The ear-piercing screams spread throughout the world, and the air waves soared into the sky, causing everyone in the surrounding area to retreat involuntarily. The earth was blasted with a huge hole. Greenwater Beach was originally a swamp with thousands of lakes. After being bombarded by shock waves from both sides, a huge and unfathomable lake was formed directly in the center. The surrounding small lakes all evaporated. The Black and White God Department only said that they would try not to harm innocent people, but they did not guarantee that they would protect even every plant and tree. It was impossible for them to do this. The only ones who really restrain them are each other. Those so-called neutral forces and the like, if they really want to confront each other, no matter which side is killing them like ants, they say they will be as good to other forces as possible, but if necessary, they will kill. Without any scruples. Although the people in Greenwater Beach have been properly resettled, if they stay in the wild for various reasons, no one will be responsible for the death or injury. This is war. Your Excellency has good methods, but his character is too ugly. The invincible Bai Shen type only felt that the spear in his hand was extremely heavy. Every time he fought with Jia Yan, a huge force would rush into his mouth, making his palms and arms sore. The so-called black cat and white cat, the one that can catch mice, is a good cat. If you want to admit defeat, just say so. It's not like I can't spare your life. It's a shameless talk. Jia Yan shouted back, causing the other party's demeanor to become completely distorted. This person in the invincible realm has probably seen the world. He clearly has the strength of the invincible realm, but he still behaves so shamelessly. Perhaps this is the most shattering thing for him after reaching the invincible realm. There is such an invincible situation in the world, and it is true that the same rice can support hundreds of people. Jia Yan had already seized the opportunity and had just taken advantage of this person's unexpected timing, causing an irreversible reduction in the opponent's strength. It wasn't that difficult for him, because dealing with an invincible was not his original purpose. Since the clone took action in person, the purpose could not be just to save the lives of so many black robes. He needs to control the entire martial arts star situation. In other words, he needs to repel the White God army that came this time. The fight between the two sides soon entered the most intense and dangerous situation. These two people are really fighting. It's all because of the invincible black gods who are looking for trouble. We don't want their lives in the first place. You can't even get down the stairs. Such an arrogant person deserves to be killed by our family. Because of the differences between the two men, the White God soldiers retreated, but no one was worried. How could my own master, who was more than one level better than the strong man in black robe, lose to that villain? Well, my lord, I'm afraid things are going to be bad. On the other side, the black gods were frightened when they saw the two invincibles fighting in the sky. They couldn't see that their master was too provocative to his opponent, which resulted in the current situation of real fighting between the two sides. And no matter which angle you look at it, the master using the ghost-headed sword may not be able to compete with the opponent. In the battle between masters, character and momentum have a great impact. If you use despicable and shameless methods, you will leave holes in your momentum. What is even more uncomfortable is that you have used despicable and shameless methods and failed to give the other party. Causing fatal damage is equivalent to losing half the battle. Don't worry. We don't understand the mystery of this gentleman. We still don't understand it. How can we think that he must lose? The black-robed captain scolded his subordinates with exhaustion, causing everyone to shrink their heads. The captain's dignity still works. That's right, maybe he has other means, and he hasn't even used his full strength so far. The woman in black robe interrupted, making people look at her. They're shaking their heads. The captain is just cheering me up, at least there is some real evidence. You, a woman, just said that the strong man in black robe did not give his full strength. This is a bit bragging. In a fight between invincible realms, who would dare to say that they should be merciful or retain their strength? Almost no one would believe that. The invincible realm is not about the flowers and plants on the roadside. Which master who has reached this realm is not standing on the top of the mountain? Even the most powerful invincible state dare not boast about it when facing the weakest invincible state. The current situation on the battlefield is that the two invincible realms are almost evenly matched. How dare you say that the strong man didn't use his full strength? But long hair but short of knowledge is a common problem among women, so it's hard to say anything about this woman. Escape again. Please remember the first domain name of this book. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2845. It's normal for no one to notice. Because the black god Jia Yan used the power of brain waves to impose on others the consciousness of not being able to see me. Therefore, when outsiders see his behavior, they won't have many thoughts, just like seeing the flowers and plants on the roadside, there is nothing surprising. When he came to the outside starry sky, Jia Yan's expression quickly became solemn. And what was very strange was that he did not turn his gaze towards the direction in which the two men were fighting. Instead, he looked in the opposite direction to another starry sky in the opposite direction to the martial arts star. That starry sky was extremely silent. There is even nothing, pure darkness, swallowing up the starry sky, as if there is an invisible giant beast entrenched there, trying to choose people to devour. It doesn't seem like. Jia Yan's eyes became gloomy. There are real monsters. And it's very big, very, very big. How many kilometers? Damn it! Jia Yan couldn't help but curse. It is indeed a more terrifying existence than the body of the black god himself. That white dolphin guy really brought a star-level existence into this world. Is this how you cheated? Why don't you just say that if I want to win, you can give me your own life? Irregular cheating makes relatives shed tears. You guy, you just found a star class to come in, you little trash, you can't afford to lose. Jia Yan was completely puzzled for a long time. The star level being at the other end probably didn't expect that he would be discovered. He didn't realize that someone in the vast sea of people had discovered him. There are beings on a level higher than myself, and that kind of pressure is invisible. Although he was sure that if his black god clone really tried his best to defeat the ordinary stars in the outside world, it should be a piece of cake. But the price he paid was absolutely huge. Besides, I still don't know how many star-level white dolphins have brought in. I believe that as long as he has a way, he will definitely not only bring in one or two, but will do his best to bring in as many star levels as possible to this world. The limit. In this case, things are full of variables. The black gods, who were already at a disadvantage, could not win. At least without outside help, it would be difficult for Jia Yan to win. By the way, what is the purpose of this guy coming here? Jia Yan is sure that the star-level guy who only retains the power of the outside galaxy is definitely not the so-called white god system. Rather, he is an authentic galactic powerhouse. In other words, he also has some disadvantages in this world, that is, he is not familiar with the energy of this world, and his strength will be reduced by about 20%. And if you fight for a long time, it will be difficult to hold on for a long time. And his purpose of coming here is definitely not just as simple as being a martial arts star. Could it be that he is preparing to attack and kill a black god? Jia Yan was shocked. Chewing it carefully, it really should be like this. The white god system was killed by his clones in the starry sky some time ago. If he doesn't fight back, I'm afraid that the one with unstable power in the white dolphin will bear more pressure. Since there are such descendants hand, he will definitely take it out secretly to stabilize the morale of the army. Tusk, even taking out such a trump card instead of killing me at the most critical moment shows that the white dolphins have indeed been forced to suffer recently. Although Jia Yan is not a person who has perfect strategies, his derivation ability has always been relatively strong. So after a little deduction, we came to the fact that White Dolphin has been under great pressure from subordinates recently. So Jia Yan smiled. Sent a star-level, god-level expert to take advantage of me. It seems that you little trash not only wants to play dirty tricks, but also wants me to be unable to find the person to attack. Jia Yan had some murderous intent in his eyes. He has never been a cautious person. After thinking for a while, and then evaluating the star's strength and whether there were god-level fluctuations in the nearby starry sky, he came up with an extremely bold idea. After a moment, his black god clone's power suddenly changed, and he directly transformed into another feeling. It's like the power fluctuation of Leda, another god-level master within the black god system. Leda's power is definitely not unfamiliar to those in the white god system. This is a thorn in the side of the white gods who is relatively weak in strength but has always been active on the front lines. He has always relied on the magic weapon given by Jia Yan to be able to navigate the battlefield. Without the magic weapon, many people think that he is nothing. The weakness of relying on magic weapons is also quite obvious, that is, it is difficult for him to achieve the perception of a stronger person. Although Leda is a galaxy-level existence in the outside world, in this world, he has only cultivated to a semi-star level, and because his power perception is indeed inferior to other people of the same level, his overall strength is a little weaker than that of ordinary gods. Jia Yan didn't believe that this stellar expert could still sit still when he felt that he had ushered in a big prey like Leda. Yes, Lord Jia Yan, I am patrolling this starry sky. If there is any problem with your clone, I will naturally take action. Leda smiled and said something loudly to the other side of the communication device from time to time on the road, nodding and bending, in a complete dog-licking manner. In the depths of that extremely calm starry sky, there was a pair of huge eyes, showing wonder. The surprise soon turned to ecstasy. He recognized Rita. This is Leda. Leda at the galaxy level in the outside world. Even after this person used the magic weapon of the giant starry sky Mosquito, he has the ability to fight against the ordinary domain lord level. This star-level beast seems to be able to overpower Jia Yan and the white dolphin in this starry sky. It has unparalleled strength. However, if thrown to the outside world, it is just a small soldier and a shrimp. It is targeted by Leda and other real star-level beasts. It is almost unnecessary to think about it, it must be the same as death. However, in this world, the laws of the world are suppressed, and Leda's clone is only half a star, and there is a gap between him and him. Master White Dolphin asked me to kill a black god-type god to explain to the other adults. But if I kill all Leda, it seems that the person I kill is no different from other gods, but this person is that Jia Yan's right-hand man, his confidant, Lord White Dolphin. They will definitely praise me for my military exploits. This star level directly makes one's own power more hidden, but the more mysterious and surging power from the outside galaxy in the body begins to gradually gather. Which god level killing is not killing? For those in the White Dolphin faction, everyone applauded the killing of Leda. When the star was about to move, Leda, who appeared in Jia Yan's phantom form, seemed to have noticed nothing and hung up the communication. The awe-inspiring expression just now was gone, and he transformed into the black god that everyone respected. Department of the great god Rita. The star in the dark spat and thought to himself, why are you pretending to be a big-tailed wolf? You are so cautious when talking to your boss, and you start to tremble when you are not in front of your boss. You are a villain. But he didn't dare to underestimate Leda. After all, it seems that Leda's only clone is here, but he is also an absolute galaxy level. If his real body is here, beating him to death would be like beating to death a grasshopper on the roadside. And what Leda is really famous for is that he possesses a magic weapon. The giant Mosquito in this world also has the power to create magic weapons, and it seems that he has given Leda a few of them, so he cannot act rashly. If there is any abnormal movement, and Leighton notices it, something bad may happen. After Leda hung up the communication, it was like the presence of an old god. The incomparably pretentious person transformed into a top master, looking at the two invincible realms fighting outside the planet from afar. The clone of Lord Jia Yan seems to be evenly matched with the enemy, but in fact it is very clear and logical. It is indeed Lord Jia Yan. Even if the power of the main body is not as strong as the invincible state, he will definitely win in the invincible state. He is even playing tricks on the opponent. Rita muttered. In the starry sky not far away from him, a figure was slowly squirming. It must be close enough for Leda to have no time to react before it suddenly erupts. But this stellar creature, listening to Leda's words, complained from time to time. I thought to myself, you are a licking dog. Even if your master is not around to listen, you still have to say such licking words. Isn't it disgusting? The two sides are slowly closing the distance. Jia Yan closed his eyes silently, and from time to time said words to please his superiors that made him blush, while he concentrated on observing the giant creature that was slowly approaching. If this guy showed his true face, the whole world might be shocked. He was considering whether to let the public know about this. If a monster several kilometers in size really appeared in the public eye, it would probably cause an uproar. Because in this world, let alone creatures that are several kilometers in size, even monsters that are hundreds of meters long are rare to see. Anyone who knows a little bit about biology will know that a biological chain of several hundred meters to several kilometers cannot appear out of thin air. In other words, either this world still exists in a vast area unknown to people, and there are a large number of such creatures there. Or another possibility is that this monster comes from other worlds. Presumably any biologist or scientific researcher with some brains will come to the conclusion that this thing comes from another world, because neither the ecology nor the energy form of the world itself is enough to support the birth and reproduction of such a huge and terrifying creature. That will definitely cause people to speculate. Forget it, what can I do if I know? I haven't said where I and others are from. I'm afraid there are many relevant scholars who have secretly suspected and speculated on our origins. Sometimes mystery is not necessarily a good thing. It is better to let people know the truth, which will make people more united. For example, let them know that there are such terrifying and powerful existences in the outside world, and our gods are the only guarantee against these powerful outsiders entering this world to kill. In this way, in addition to faith, people in the world will have another reason to choose to stand firmly on the same front as the gods. Of course, this matter cannot be so straightforward. We can also use some religious packaging, such as describing the outside galaxy as a world of gods, where gods fight, etc. Wouldn't this be more grand and full of sacred nature? So, things are dead and people are alive. There are always more solutions than difficulties. Jia Yanggong thought things through thoroughly. I just heard a roar coming from my ears that went straight into my mind. Leda, give me your life. The moment the roar came out, a force that should not belong to this world, as if it was incompatible with this world, directly shook the heaven and earth, and tore apart the heaven and earth, and came out with a deafening force. The following anti-piracy word count. Come to Cheateon.com to subscribe after 1 o'clock, the official version will refresh this chapter and it will be a complete chapter. The extremely pretentious person transformed into a top master and looked at the two invincible realms outside the planet fighting each other from afar. The clone of Lord Jia Yan seems to be evenly matched with the enemy, but in fact it is very clear and logical. It is indeed Lord Jia Yan. Even if the power of the main body is not as strong as the invincible state, he will definitely win in the invincible state. He is even playing tricks on the opponent. Rita muttered. In the starry sky not far away from him, a figure was slowly squirming. It must be close enough for Leda to have no time to react before it suddenly erupts. But this stellar creature, listening to Leda's words, complained from time to time. I thought to myself, you are a licking dog. Even if your master is not around to listen, you still have to say such licking words. Isn't it disgusting? The two sides are slowly closing the distance. Jia Yan closed his eyes silently, and from time to time said words to please his superiors that made him blush, while he concentrated on observing the giant creature that was slowly approaching. If this guy showed his true face, the whole world might be shocked. He was considering whether to let the public know about this. If a monster several kilometers in size really appeared in the public eye, it would probably cause an uproar. Because in this world, let alone creatures that are several kilometers in size, even monsters that are hundreds of meters in size are rare to see. Anyone who knows a little bit about biology will know that a biological chain from a few hundred meters to several kilometers it cannot appear out of thin air. In other words, either this world still exists in a vast area unknown to people, and there are a large number of such creatures there. Or another possibility is that this monster comes from other worlds. Presumably any biologist or scientific researcher with some brains will come to the conclusion that this thing comes from another world, because neither the ecology nor the energy form of the world itself is enough to support the birth and reproduction of such a huge and terrifying creature. That will definitely cause people to speculate. Forget it, what can I do if I know? I haven't said where I and others are from. I'm afraid there are many relevant scholars who have secretly suspected and speculated on our origins. Sometimes mystery is not necessarily a good thing. It is better to let people know the truth, which will make people more united. For example, let them know that there are such terrifying and powerful existences in the outside world, and our gods are the only guarantee against these powerful outsiders entering this world to kill. In this way, in addition to faith, people in the world will have another reason to choose to stand firmly on the same front as the gods. Of course, this matter cannot be so straightforward. We can also use some religious packaging, such as describing the outside galaxy as a world of gods, where gods fight, etc. Wouldn't this be more grand and full of sacred nature? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2846. I saw the ghost-headed sword falling from the sky like a mountain and cracking rocks. The blade was extremely sharp. Since it's too late to raise your strength, just retreat first. The invincible white god type quickly gathered all his strength and fled towards the rear. But his body seemed to be stuck in a quagmire, and it was extremely difficult for him to move. Damn it, what kind of move is this? Could it be that you are responsible for that aura? Pyridine. The roar of the invincible Bashan type suddenly stopped. The ghost head sword tore open his back vest and chopped off half of his body with one blow. The invincible Bashan type who smashed down the starry sky like rags heard the calm voice of the figure who killed him. It's impossible for you to understand this move, and I can't explain it to you. Besides, that aura is naturally not mine. But don't worry, this master of aura will soon follow in your footsteps, so just go with peace of mind. Bai Shenwudi found that the scenery around him had returned from distortion to calmness, like flowers in a mirror, and everything seemed like a dream. But his body was literally chopped into two pieces. I cannot be reconciled. This person is really miserable. Looking at the problem from his point of view, he was not much weaker than this strong man. If that monster hadn't suddenly burst out with energy, causing him to be in a trance for a moment, he might not have ended up like this. Of course, he was simply overthinking this. If the Black God clone hadn't wanted to defeat this man completely, he would have killed him long ago. Unwilling. Jia Yan looked at Bai Shenwudi, whose eyes were gradually losing color, and felt sneered. He didn't even want to say how big the gap was. Grown-ups. The many white god-type sergeants who followed him had eyes that were about to burst. They never thought that the person in their own invincible realm, who was looming on the front line, would be defeated here. Don't act rashly. Do you want to continue the war? Suddenly, a black-robed figure blocked these white-armored warriors. When these black robes caught up with them, they were also frightened and came here completely forced to do so. But they witnessed a shocking battle. Unexpectedly, the black-robed invincible on his side, who I thought was just a strong man in the ordinary invincible realm, actually won the fight. Not only did he win the fight, he also killed the opponent's invincible state. You must know that winning and killing are not the same concepts. Especially at the level of the invincible realm, it is too difficult to kill the invincible realm. Not only is the combat power of the invincible realm generally difficult to kill, but also because protecting the invincible realm on the battlefield is an extremely important indicator of the black and white dual gods. Sometimes even if a whole army is used to save lives, invincible must be saved. Being invincible can be so important. After all, soldiers can be recruited and there is an inexhaustible supply. But in the invincible realm, it would be difficult to make up for one less person. What move did that adult use just now? He killed the invincible white god type in an instant. The black-robed captain was blocking the white divine sergeants who far outnumbered the black-robed soldiers, while secretly observing the battlefield. To be honest, they have thrown away their lives. If the white god sergeants swarm them, they will definitely die. But if the invincible man in black robe can be protected, they will have done a great job. Even if they die on the spot, their future achievements will definitely be passed down to their family. With the overall situation being such a priority, there is no other way. After all, if someone takes advantage of the invincible realm, they will definitely die. Roll. The white god-type sergeants who were like Mankaoi were so furious that they were all surging with power and were about to take action. When the two sides were at war, a powerful black horse tore through the sky and landed in the center of the group of white god warriors. The strength of this group of soldiers is not outstanding. After all, those who can follow in the footsteps of the two invincible realms are either the venerable level or the starry sky level that is close to the venerable level. What's more, they are front-line warriors who have experienced the blood and fire on the front line. However, they were such experienced warriors that they still had no time to react when faced with this sudden attack. Because the speed and strength level of Pylian were beyond their ability to cope. Pyridine. Blood spread across the starry sky, and a large number of white god-type soldiers shed blood. Only a few powerful masters at the venerable level survived. But each of them was injured by this blow. These people looked at the place where Pylian came from with a strong look of surviving a disaster, and then their eyes became terrifying. It turned out that the Pylian shot was a sword, and the one who issued the sword was the black god-type Invincible who had just killed their commander, Invincible. This person killed a fellow of the same level, but he still has such power? Looking at the black-robed Woody who was flying towards the side with his sword-shaped eyebrows and star-like eyes, these venerables all retreated backwards with their eyes about to burst. Walk. Retreat, report to the summit. This group of people are not people who are greedy for life and fear death, but they are definitely not the kind of people who will risk their lives just to avenge Shangguan. After all, it is too dangerous to deal with this invincible person whose strength has declined. If this person can still unleash the kind of sword attack just now, wouldn't they lose their lives for no reason? So quitting is the right decision. They were very sure that this invincible would not dare to chase them. After all, there were so many strong men around. Even the invincibles in full state would not dare to chase them directly, let alone the invincibles who would have a fierce battle with their invincibles. As for the other black robes, sorry, it's not that I look down on black robes, it's just that black robes are trash. This group of fierce-looking masters were retreating, but what was completely different from what they were thinking was that the strong black-robed man holding a ghost-headed sword easily jumped over the black-robed men who came forward and headed straight in their direction. Come flying. The speed is quite fast, as if he is chasing someone. Your Majesty, please don't be too arrogant. You have already fought a battle. How much strength do you have left? Everyone is a little confused. There are those kind of mad warriors in the Black God system, but the mad warriors can't cultivate to the invincible state, right? This black robe is actually one of the mad warriors. I don't need you to think about it for me. You have been watching for a long time. Why don't you try it yourself? Jia Yan's words were like a spring breeze, as if he was not too tired and was eager to try. At this time, the White God department was even more surprised. What's going on? Is this person pretending? Or do you really want to fight again with so many strong men like them? Humph, he must be showing off. Let me test him. You guys can help me raid the formation. A white-robed venerable man stepped out from the crowd, picked up his weapon, and slashed at Jia Yan with his sword. Pyridine. But this man's fate shows that the term brave wins does not work here in Jia Yan. This. His whole body shook slightly, and then he saw his body split in two, and felt 10,000 crows flying across the sky. He originally thought that the white god-type invincible should have consumed a lot of the black-robed invincible's power. He claimed to be a figure close to invincibility. Even if he could not compete with the invincible state, he could at least sustain himself against the exhausted invincible. It's no problem to use 8 out of 10 moves. But I didn't expect it to be a free move. This is too confusing. Is my own invincible so incompetent that he doesn't cause too much power loss to the black god type invincible in front of him? His quality is beyond words. He could only look at him with despair and drink in hatred on the spot. My mother. As for the Bayesian system, everyone just felt their scalps were numb. This is a birdie. If you go up to the invincible realm, it will be free. If you go to the venerable state who is close to the invincible realm, it will be free of charge. If anyone else goes there, won't they also die? Don't get entangled with them, just disperse. There was a venerable level person who already felt that he could not resist. After finishing his words, he rushed directly to the front of the crowd, and the lightning and thunder seemed to fall to the bottom of the planet. Escape without saying a word, showing no sense of loyalty. The others were so distraught that they immediately dispersed like birds and beasts. Although they are frontline troops, there are no senior officials present. Everyone is on the same level as the second and third brothers. No one can order anyone else, let alone the authority. Therefore, the enemy is in front of them and they have become a mess. And when the group of people dispersed and fled, Jia Yan was not polite, and was about to stare at a few of them and kill them until there was no trace of grass left, when a powerful force rose from below the planet and blocked him on the spot. Oh! Jia Yan paused, then simply stopped thinking about chasing him and waited where he was. The power of this visitor is completely comparable to that of the invincible one just now, and is even vaguely stronger. In other words, this is another invincible realm sent to the martial arts star by the White God Department's frontline troops. Vice Commander Yuan was defeated by Your Excellency. It seems that I underestimated Your Excellency. This man has an extraordinary bearing, and he seems to be far away from the invincible man just now. Commander. The many White God-type soldiers who had been fleeing in embarrassment felt like they had met their backbone when they saw this man. They were all ecstatic, and some even shed tears of grief. Commander, the deputy commander died because we were useless and failed to protect the deputy commander properly. Lord Commander, please avenge the vice commander. He died miserably. Woo dash. Good guy, a group of people who just escaped very easily. Now that they have someone who will uphold justice for them, they immediately stop escaping and criticize Jia Yan for his cruelty and unreasonable actions. It seemed that even if their leader didn't show up, they would fight to the end with Jia Yan. The so-called leader, an invincible man, nodded slightly when he heard the words, but did not express his position or appease everyone. After all, he could clearly see the scene just now. I just couldn't catch up with my colleagues in the invincible realm. You are the front-line commander of this White God army. You are a bit different from the man just now, but compared to me, you are still far behind. Do you also want to follow in his footsteps? Jia Yan waved the ghost-headed sword in his hand, and the blade glowed with a strange light, as if he was thirsty for blood. Yes, I am the president of this army, Your Excellency. The invincible leader of the White God system showed a slight smile as he spoke. You shouldn't be an ordinary invincible person from the Black God type, right? Oh? What do you mean by this? The other party looked at the two unimaginable and terrifying scenes in the distant battle, and was not shocked at all. Haishan himself is fighting against a certain master in this force. How can his clone be missing on such a battlefield? Tisk tisk, but I didn't expect that Lord Black God would actually show up on such a battlefield. Hiss. Before Jia Yan on the other end could react, a gasp came from around him. Everyone couldn't help but look back at the dazzling scene of the battle between gods and immortals. I saw that area was no longer suitable for people to stay. A large number of interviewing media ships and the White God-type warships left behind were blown out by the battle wind, swaying around as if they were drunk. The sounds of battle are like morning bells and evening drums, ringing in the hearts of everyone from time to time. Even the weaker venerable class cannot get close to 1,000 kilometers away, otherwise they will all be unable to help but bleed. It turned out to be the battlefield of Black God himself, no wonder it was so terrifying. But who is the big boss of the White God series that he fights against? Could it be that Lord Shirakami has also arrived in person? Everyone showed fascination. Who doesn't yearn for the battle between the two creation gods? This represents the pinnacle and the most basic battle of gods in the entire world. It is no exaggeration to say that it happens only once in 10,000 years. But soon, the group of onlookers figured out the other half of Bai Shen's invincible sentence. How could it be possible without his clone? For a moment, everyone was silent and looked up at the calm black-robed Woody. The captain in black robe opened his mouth so wide that he could stuff an apple into it. It turns out he is the Black God. No, it's the Black God's clone. Of course, in the eyes of others, there is almost no difference between the clone and the real body. After all, they do not understand the difference between the clone and the true body. In other words, this is the arrival of the Creator God. Come to Cheateon.com to subscribe. After a while, the official version will be refreshed and you will be able to see this chapter. The so-called leader, an invincible man, nodded slightly when he heard the words, but did not express his position or appease everyone. After all, he could clearly see the scene just now. I just couldn't catch up with my colleagues in the invincible realm. You are the front-line commander of this White God army. It is a bit different from that person just now, looking for the book, but compared to me, you are still far behind. Do you also want to follow in his footsteps? Jia Yan waved the ghost-headed sword in his hand, and the blade glowed with a strange light, as if he was thirsty for blood. Yes, I am the president of this army, Your Excellency. The invincible leader of the White God system showed a slight smile as he spoke. You shouldn't be an ordinary invincible person from the Black God type, right? Oh? What do you mean by this? The other party looked at the two unimaginable and terrifying scenes in the distant battle, and was not shocked at all. Haishan himself is fighting against a certain master in this force. How can his clone be missing on such a battlefield? Tisk tisk, but I didn't expect that Lord Black God would actually show up on such a battlefield. Hiss. Before Jia Yan on the other end could react, a gasp came from around him. Everyone couldn't help but look back at the dazzling scene of the battle between gods and immortals. I saw that area was no longer suitable for people to stay. A large number of interviewing media ships and the White God-type warships left behind were blown out by the battle wind, swaying around as if they were drunk. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2847. A scream suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. Countless people watching on the martial arts planet were pissed when they heard this sound. They felt some incomparable power attacking their bodies, and countless people had their eardrums shattered. If it were ordinary invincibility, he would definitely not dare to do this. Time is too sensitive. If it causes instability in the neutral star and the swinging forces, it may be a major change in the war situation. The problem is, this person is not invincible. Yes, this person is a god, and like Jia Yan, comes from the Milky Way. It is almost impossible for gods to be held accountable for doing such harm to the mortal world, because no one would dare. When this sound wave screamed, the entire starry sky changed. The scene where the black god's true form was fighting the monster in the distance was suddenly affected and paused for a moment. Being able to stop the war on the other side for a moment is enough to show that this person is not simple. When the noise passed, the white god type Wudi standing in front of Jia Yan had a completely new look and became a new face. Female. Jia Yan was a little surprised. The person in front of him was not a tall and mighty strong man, but a beautiful woman with a name as delicate as a flower and fair skin. Lord Jia Yan, is it possible that you look down on women? The woman came up and delivered a stunning punch. No, I just didn't expect you to be a woman. Besides, who knows whether you are a human or a ghost outside? Jia Yan said calmly, but the other party looked unhappy. He is not afraid that the enemy will have some super strong people. Even the star level ones are fighting fiercely with the black god's clone. Such a strong white god type person who has traveled to this world can't be as strong as a star. It's mysterious. Damn, I want to attack his arrogant arrogance. Humph, the woman said uncomfortably, don't care whether I am a woman or not. Mr. Jia Yan, I think what happened today is not going to end well for you. I'm afraid your real body over there won't be able to help you fist, and today my Bayesian system has exposed a backhand, there must be some luck, so why don't you keep your clone's life here? She shook her arms, and a long weapon protruded from the top of her fingernails. It looked like metal, non-metal, or some kind of alloy. It looked extremely strange. Jia Yan remained calm and composed. This is a bit unreasonable. My avatar has already held the position of black robe here. If you don't believe me, ask your colleagues over there. It's a bit unreasonable that you newcomers want my life. How about this? You took the life of my black god's true form, but I'm not familiar with him either. Jia Yan said this as if the true form of the black god was his enemy, and he was completely merciless. However, he knew very well that no matter how strong the white god type was, even if they had the strength to kill Jia Yan's black god's true form right now, they probably wouldn't do it easily. Now is not the time. The war has reached this point, and no one is willing to eliminate the other party in one fell swoop before getting the maximum benefit. To put it bluntly, the real body of Jia Yan's black god stood there and did not resist, letting the white dolphin kill, but the other party was unwilling to kill. Now that they have received the reward, it is much worse than they expected. In contrast, the same is true for Jia Yan. If the white dolphin showed any flaws and gave him a chance to kill, Jia Yan would probably hesitate again and again. Lord Jia Yan, it's pointless to talk too fast. If you can resist stubbornly for a while longer, or you can be more elegant and lead the fight, let's not talk about the nonsense, okay? The woman spread out her 10 fingernails, each one 2 or 3 meters long, like a peacock spreading its tail, eager to try. Are you confident? Jia Yan is still the same old spirit. The woman's eyes flashed and she said, the slave family knows that you have used clones to kill several of my colleagues before, so they will not look down upon you. However, your clone method has no effect on the slave family. How about you give it a try? How about it, don't waste any more words, so that you don't have to laugh at you. Right. Jia Yan nodded. It's really a waste to keep using words to delay time. In any case, I am not as simple as a clone. But there is a black god behind him, and even the starry sky beast Jiayan, who is a senior domain lord from the outside world. It's not my style to talk sweet words or anything like that. To put it bluntly, this clone just has a self-memory. Even if it dies, the memory and life experience will flow back to the real body, and no one will inherit it. Well, strong Jiayan is still a little uncomfortable. He knew that this clone must be dead, because there was no way to fight the gods, and even if he wanted to fight, he might not have a chance even if he tried his best, because the other party looked confident, and he must have killed the two gods before. The clone has studied it and has a countermeasure. With her fingernails raised, the woman stopped talking. If I continue to play tricks on you, I will look like a fool. Jiayan raised the ghost head sword. The weapon carried by this clone was the ghost head sword, and other weapons were not very easy to use. One last question, who are you? Jiayan wants to know the identity of this woman at the last moment. The woman looked at the living posture and said without reservation, I am the female military god of the White God series. Female military goddess? Information about this person flashed between Jiayan's brows, and just as he frowned, he saw the woman scolding, her nails turning into thousands of meters long and stabbing in the direction of Jiayan. Well, it turns out it's you. Jiayan sighed and shook his head. The ghost-headed sword in his hand was without any pretense, and he hit the 10 nails that were stabbing him head-on. Black energy surged in the sky, and 10 nails flew in the air. About half of them were broken by the black power. However, the other half was between the lightning and flint, scratching directly on the strong body of Jiayan's strong man's clone. Lord Jiayan, the strength of this clone is indeed different from that of the Black God. It can't even withstand even 1.5 of my military advisor's moves. Why don't you consider my suggestion just now and admit defeat directly? This will save you embarrassment in front of many subordinates. The woman's voice came out mockingly, and the sound spread in all directions, leaving lingering echoes. Jiayan continued to frown. He knew what this woman was up to. The identity of the Black God is at its peak in the Black God system, just like the omnipotent and omniscient God in everyone's mind. However, his clone of the Black God himself was actually being played with by the enemy here. Although anyone with a brain can look at this matter rationally and know that he is just a clone. Unfortunately, knowing it in your head does not mean you can understand it emotionally. This is like the concept of faith being overturned, and it will probably cause an uproar. This woman is indeed as insidious as the outside. She wants to lose my prestige. I am afraid that after this battle, she will use the influence of this battle to continue to do more activities. Jiayan was a little helpless, which was the reason why he didn't like to fight with those who use brains. Sometimes it's not a matter of winning or losing, but rather these brainiacs can often make you feel uncomfortable even if you win. Moreover, this battle looks like it is still going to be lost. If the opponent makes good use of the rhythm of the entire battle, the impact may be extremely far-reaching. Buzz. Jiayan simply spread the black power directly, and the domain-like energy spread for hundreds of meters, directly covering the woman and entering his domain. Now it's better, the outside world can't see his suffering at all. Field. Master Jiayan is indeed a genius. In this world, he can still use his understanding of power to create something similar to the stellar-level methods in the outside world. The woman savored the surroundings carefully and couldn't help but admire them. If your excellency would focus more on cultivation, I'm afraid your achievements would not be lower than mine. Female army goddess, I remember you are outside and one of our army's formidable enemies, but haven't you been avoiding me all the time? Well, what, in this world, do you dare to come to me in person? Jiayan crossed his arms, letting the black power spurt out, and tried his best to suppress the rapid movement of the woman's 10 nails, so that it would be much easier to dodge. It just so happens that the opponent is someone with this kind of attack method, otherwise he may be overwhelmed by the absolute strength of the god level and be defeated in a few or two moves. Of course, it could also be that the other party did it intentionally. After all, in the outside world, Jia Yan only often heard that among White Dolphin's subordinates, there was a strategist who was known as the female military god, but he had never met this woman. Every time he wanted to rush to the battlefield in person to deal with the intelligence of this White Dolphin subordinate who was commanding the battle, this woman could often smell the danger beforehand and run away, leaving Jia Yan in vain every time. Anyway, in this domain space, no one can see how Jia Yan was tortured and killed. The woman known as the female military goddess silently lowered the intensity of her attack. Look what you said, in the outside world, aren't you afraid of death? This world can't die. Naturally, I want to come and meet Master Jia Yan, who I have always wanted to see but couldn't. So, am I the same as you imagined? It's not that I'm disappointed. It's just that compared to my lord, you still fall short. Ha ha ha, you are a wonderful person. Do you think it is useful to use such a provoking method on me? The name of the female military god does not seem that mysterious. Originally, my little girl is just an ordinary woman. Everyone thinks highly of me, so they booed me and gave me the title of military goddess, which made you laugh, Mr. Jia Yan. Puff. A fingernail scratched down, bringing a pool of blood, and Jia Yan frowned. Are you so interested in killing one of my clones just to let you, the majestic female military god of the White God series, act in person? Don't be afraid that my black god clone will find the right opportunity to leave you here. Although you won't die, your master will. There is one less capable person. Master Jia Yan is worried. If your black god clone could take action, he would have already rushed to kill me. It's a pity. Is there a star level to block it? What's going on with this star level? If you don't explain clearly, I will send a message to ask the black god clone to voluntarily withdraw from this world game. Your master has such a despicable and shameless behavior, no, it's necessary to continue playing with him. Lord Jia Yan, I don't know much about this matter. My Lord White Dolphin has kept it secret even from me, the female military god. However, I think that with your headstrong character, even if you know that Lord White Dolphin has star level means, you're not willing to quit this world, right? That's not necessarily the case. Haha, female military god, let me tell you an eternal truth. What truth? At this moment, the sound of resounded from time to time, and the 10 nails shuttled through the twisted void blocked by the power of the domain from time to time. Although the speed slowed down greatly, they still brought up a bunch of strong people from time to time. Rock's blood stains. Jia Yan was bruised and bruised, but his smile was even brighter. In this galaxy, the truth is, weak people never speculate on the strong. Don't even try to plot against the strong. Because, you may not even know how you died when you died. Huh. This woman is indeed as insidious as the outside. She wants to lose my prestige. I am afraid that after this battle, she will use the influence of this battle to continue to do more activities. Jia Yan was a little helpless, which was the reason why he didn't like to fight with those who use brains. Sometimes it's not a matter of winning or losing, but rather these brainiacs can often make you feel uncomfortable even if you win. Moreover, this battle looks like it is still going to be lost. If the opponent makes good use of the rhythm of the entire battle, the impact may be extremely far-reaching. Buzz. Jia Yan simply spread the black power directly, and the domain-like energy spread for hundreds of meters, directly covering the woman and entering his domain. Now it's better, the outside world can't see his suffering at all. Field. Master Jia Yan is indeed a genius. In this world, he can still use his understanding of power to create something similar to the stellar level methods in the outside world. The woman savored the surroundings carefully and couldn't help but admire them. If your excellency would focus more on cultivation, I'm afraid your achievements would not be lower than mine. Female army goddess, I remember you are outside and one of our army's formidable enemies, but haven't you been avoiding me all the time? Well, what, in this world, do you dare to come to me in person? Jia Yan crossed his arms and to let the black power spurt out. He tried his best to suppress the rapid movement of the woman's 10 nails, so that it would be much easier to dodge. It just so happens that the opponent is someone with this kind of attack method, otherwise he may be overwhelmed by the absolute strength of the god level and be defeated in a few or 2 moves. Of course, it could also be that the other party did it intentionally. After all, in the outside world, Jia Yan only often heard that among White Dolphin's subordinates, there was a strategist who was known as the female military god, but he had never met this woman. Every time he wanted to rush to the battlefield in person to deal with the intelligence of this White Dolphin subordinate who was commanding the battle, this woman could often smell the danger beforehand and run away, leaving Jia Yan in vain every time. Anyway, in this domain space, no one can see how Jia Yan was tortured and killed. The woman known as the female military goddess silently lowered the intensity of her attack. Look what you said, in the outside world, aren't you afraid of death? This world can't die. Naturally, I want to come and meet Master Jia Yan, who I have always wanted to see but couldn't. So, am I the same as you imagined? It's not that I'm disappointed. It's just that compared to my lord, you still fall short. Ha ha ha, you are a wonderful person. Do you think it is useful to use such a provoking method on me? The name of the female military god does not seem to be that mysterious Li Ganjiang. Please remember the first domain name of this book. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2848. As a galaxy-level powerhouse, her senses allowed her to sense the approaching crisis, but her body was unable to react. I could only watch the fist enlarge. Suddenly, the last words Jia Yan said just now echoed in her mind. I don't understand the methods of the strong. I see. Even if you have all kinds of calculations, how can you ever calculate how many means and strength the strong man has? The woman's face turned ugly for a while, then she felt relieved again. Forget it, this time Quan thought he had miscalculated and went out to the outside world to wait for the final outcome of the war between the two sides. If necessary, escaping from the outside world would be an advantage. She was still a little unwilling in her heart, because she had too many unfulfilled ambitions, so she was killed by Jia Yan's punch. Very shameful. However, there is no way to save it. The black god Jia Yan, the young man's face is stern and full of chilling aura. Just now he had a confrontation with that star, and he was beaten to a pulp, and he was still a little confused to this day. Roar. A ferocious roar of rage could be heard in the distance. The star found that the opponent in front of him was far away in an instant, and he was immediately furious. Similar to the female military goddess, as a star-level creature, it is impossible for this star-level creature to know how powerful a strong person is. His strength is even worse than that of a domain lord. So it seemed that the battle between the combat power and the black god clone was in full swing, but once Jia Yan used the trump card of black energy shuttle, he was so blinded that he couldn't catch up. This is also the reason why Jia Yan can quickly come to this battlefield. It's simple, just use the strong man's movement method. Nothing fancy. But the weak can't catch up, they just can't catch up. Are you accepting your fate? Jia Yan smiled slightly. It seemed that his operation of the black god's true form this time, although there were obstacles from the stellar level, he still had something to gain. This woman is the brain-level existence of the White Dolphin gang. Killing her will be very convenient for herself and for Edish's subsequent plans. Puff. And when Jia Yan's fist was about to fall on the woman's body. In the starry sky, there is an inexplicable lack of wind and waves. A six-pointed star appeared out of thin air, carving out stars in the sky. Soon, a figure emerged from the six-pointed star. At the same time that this person appeared, he stood in front of the female military god. He took the same action as Jia Yan, swung his fist, and engaged Jia Yan in a head-on fist fight with all his strength. Boom! Thunderbolts sounded suddenly in the clear sky, deafening. Jia Yan only felt unrivaled strength coming from his fist, and this strength was more than just strength. It seemed that he was no weaker than himself in terms of understanding of energy and understanding of the laws of the world. He was shaken by the reaction force and took 2 steps back. The opponent's whole body was also trembling violently, and his body that had been driven straight in took 3 steps back. This attack was evenly matched. Jia Yan's eyes dimmed. The strong man's clone behind him also supported the power of the domain and came to the side of the young Jia Yan. He stood proudly with him, and his god-level aura spread coldly throughout the audience. The other party's sudden presence also retreated and looked over calmly and calmly. The two sides suddenly burst into unprecedented momentum. Even in the confrontation with the star-level being just now, Black God Jia Yan did not burst out with such momentum. It's not that the star level is not strong enough, he may even defeat the Black God Jia Yan. But the power of rules is not at Jia Yan's level, and Jia Yan just doesn't need to fight with momentum. In this world, there is only one person who can make the Black God Jia Yan use this kind of momentum to fight. When the two of them are in one place, there will naturally be a battle between the world's original forces. The terrifying origin of the world is bursting apart at the intersection of their eyes. Even the starry sky itself has existence itself, because the power of these two people is falling apart. Stop it, if this continues, this starry sky will be shattered. The visitor silently restrained his strength and allowed Jia Yan's black power to invade his body without any fear. But the moment before the black power pounced on this person's body, it stopped dangerously and dangerously. It seemed to show its power for a moment, then subsided like a tide, and returned to the body of the black god Jia Yan. White Dolphin, I didn't expect that you would personally take action this time. Jia Yan crossed his arms and looked at this person with neither sadness nor joy. But the fighting spirit in his eyes was hidden. The entire journey around the world, including everything his subordinates went through, was all to defeat the man in front of him. Even Jia Yan couldn't help but feel his heart surge when he faced this man again. Of course, the White Dolphin seems to be calm and composed, and his mood is probably not much different from Jia Yan's. You can show up in person, so why can't I show up? But your clone has become much stronger than expected. Both and each other, I didn't expect that you would comprehend so much of my black power. The two of them talked and played riddles, full of overt and covert struggles and temptations. The moment of exchange just now can make people understand a lot. For example, when White Dolphin frowned, it was because he discovered that the strength of Jia Yan, the Black God clone, was such that even his star-level subordinates could not suppress it one-on-one. And Jia Yan also realized that he was not the only one who was a genius. The White Dolphin was able to understand his black power very deeply. If he allowed it to understand it further, it is very likely that even the absolute secret of the underworld passage would be revealed to him. It's so destructive, then a disaster will really come. Both sides were a little afraid and worried, so despite the force colliding in the air, causing lightning and thunder, they still failed to make a move. Young master, my subordinate is not doing well. The female military god was ready to die, but she didn't expect that her leader came to the rescue in person. It's okay. If he was so easy to deal with, we wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. The White Dolphin waved. The female military god stepped aside. With his intelligence, He naturally knows that there are two masters of this level here, and he will never be the main speaker, and will only be a supporting role. Jia Yan, didn't we agree that we and I would try not to take action? If you take action against my subordinate without authorization, you are violating the treaty. Jia Yan sneered, White Dolphin, isn't this a bit evil? Someone complained first. If I hadn't come to investigate in person today, I'm afraid you would have brought such a guy in, and I would have been kept in the dark. If you dealt with me, that guy treated you like a subordinate, so treat me like a fart. Jia Yan pointed at the star-level creature flying towards here in the distance, with a look of deep disdain on his face. When we made the agreement, we never said that stellar-level attacks were not allowed. Do you still think that I can't have stellar-level combat power at my disposal? White Dolphin is not the kind of person who has a tough mouth. On the contrary, he admitted it sincerely, but he found loopholes and blamed the matter on the loopholes in the original agreement between the two parties. Jia Yan was really speechless by what he said. The original agreement between the two of them was that they would not take action easily. In fact, they tacitly agreed that other god-level beings other than themselves could not take action. But Jia Yan used his clones. These clones are not at the god level. Can he take action? The White Dolphin is not a clean person either, there is a huge star level. He is a visitor from the outside, and his energy is not from this world, let alone god level or not. This is naturally not within the scope of the agreement. Good guys, two scoundrels, they bumped into each other. After thinking about it, Jia Yan was speechless. I feel like I have nothing good to say against White Dolphin because I am also a cheater. How about we don't hold each other accountable for what happened before? Although I eliminated several god-level people on your side, you actually hit such a star-level person. I think there must be no one except myself. You are his opponent, you are getting a big advantage for no reason. If you agree not to pursue this point, we can continue the discussion. Listening to this, White Dolphin really felt like he had gotten a big deal. But after thinking about it carefully, I felt something was wrong. So far, the Black God Department has not killed a single God-level person. The White God line has killed 5 or 6 God-level people in a row. Is this account written off? But Jia Yan said again that he would not pursue the matter of summoning a stellar powerhouse through mysterious techniques. But here, Jia Yan emphasized the star level, which means that he can no longer tolerate the emergence of other star levels. In fact, even if Jia Yan thinks with his toes, he should know that White Dolphin easily exposed one of their star level players, and there must be other backup people. Maybe there are other star level powerhouses. After all, where there is one there are two, maybe even more than one. But Jia Yan deliberately didn't mention it, and only said that 1 star level was within his tolerance range. If White Dolphin bluntly said that he had several star levels, Jia Yan would dare not say anything and stop this inconvenience. Fair game. You have many star levels, right? Let's go outside and compete. When we see it, the star level still doesn't work. If you can't kill 10 with 1 foot shot, I lose. This time the White Dolphin chewed for a long time, so long that the female military goddess behind him hesitated to speak several times. She wanted to say something, but Jia Yan's eyes fixed her on it, so she had no choice but to shut up. The think tank should just return to the rear and make suggestions. On the front line, let the coach make his own decision. I will help your young master improve. Thinking about it this way, Jia Yan feels that he is the best opponent in the world. Jia Yan, you are indeed not an ordinary person. You seem to be quick-tongued, but you are striving for the best interests when you speak. Just as you said, the previous matters are wiped out. In addition, from now on, until the decisive battle, our true body will not be revealed. Intervene, but your clone. The White Dolphin agreed to Jia Yan's proposal, and then looked at the strong clone next to Jia Yan. The strong clone's eyebrows trembled and he said, "What? You think I'm a clone, so you think I'm not Jia Yan. Don't dare. White Dolphin shook his head. This time the Black God clone said nothing, and the strong man clone stepped forward as if to emphasize his presence. White Dolphin, I know what you mean. You want my clone and you won't take action, right? However, I refuse. You also know that my god-level combat power is far inferior to that of your white god. Even in the invincible realm and ordinary venerable's power, you create your own world, be your own referee, and even cheat in the game. Haha, is there such a truth in the world? If you continue to play like this, I'm sorry, I won't accompany you anymore. The White Dolphin is a bit confused. Listening to Jia Yan say this, he seems to be really heinous. This is really the truth. He created this world himself and gained so many advantages. All the people believed in the White God system, and they had territory as soon as they came. In the end, this was not enough. He cultivated many star-level powerful people and was ready to kill them at any time. Out. Is this cheating? This is a big bug. Anti-piracy word count. Come to cheateon.com to subscribe. Refresh this chapter later to see all the chapters. I feel like I have nothing good to say to White Dolphin, because I am also a cheater. How about we don't hold each other accountable for what happened before? Although I eliminated several god-level people on your side, you actually hit such a star-level person. I think there must be no one except myself. You are his opponent, you are getting a big advantage for no reason. If you agree not to pursue this point, we can continue the discussion. Listening to this, White Dolphin really felt like he had gotten a big deal. But after thinking about it carefully, I felt something was wrong. So far, the Black God Department has not killed a single god-level person. The White God line has killed 5 or 6 god-level people in a row. Is this account written off? But Jia Yan said again that he would not pursue the matter of summoning a stellar powerhouse through mysterious techniques. But here, Jia Yan emphasized the star level, which means that he can no longer tolerate the emergence of other star levels. In fact, even if Jia Yan thinks with his toes, he should know that White Dolphin easily exposed one of their star level players, and there must be other backup people. Maybe there are other star level powerhouses. After all, if there is one, there are two, and there may even be more than one. But Jia Yan deliberately didn't mention it, and only said that one star level was within his tolerance range. If White Dolphin bluntly said that he had several star levels, Jia Yan would dare not say anything and stop this inconvenience. Fair game. You have many star levels, right? Let's go outside and compete. When we see it, the star level still doesn't work. If you can't kill 10 with 1-foot shot, I lose. This time the White Dolphin chewed for a long time, so long that the female military goddess behind him hesitated to speak several times. She wanted to say something, but Jia Yan's eyes fixed her on it, so she had no choice but to shut up. The think tank should just return to the rear and make suggestions. On the front line, let the coach make his own decision. I will help your young master improve. Thinking about it this way, Jia Yan feels that he is the best opponent in the world. Jia Yan, you are indeed not an ordinary person. You seem to be quick-tongued, but you are striving for the best interests when you speak. Just as you said, the previous matters are wiped out. In addition, from now on, until the decisive battle, our true body will not be revealed. Intervene, but your clone. The White Dolphin agreed to Jia Yan's proposal, and then looked at the strong clone next to Jia Yan. The strong clone's eyebrows trembled and he said, "What? You think I'm a clone, so you think I'm not Jia Yan? Please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2849. He didn't care much about Yuji. All Jia Yan wanted was face, so what if he was given a planet? Besides, he only had 1 month. After 1 month, he would have a large army and he could capture the planet with his troops. The black god boy nodded without saying anything. The strong man Jia Yan beside him directly restrained his domain power. They were exposed to all kinds of people. Appeared. Then, is that the black god? Hey, why is there a young man in front of him? What a terrifying aura. The being who can confront the black god face to face, could it be, me, my god? Shirakami. Hiss. Shirakami is here too. Are the two gods going to fight again? The sky is going to change. The hearts of others around him were shaken, and their scalps felt numb. Because they witnessed history. The battle between the two gods of black and white may determine the life and death of the world every time. As for the representative event of the final battle between the two gods, most people do not think it is a battle at the level of gods, but a confrontation between the black god and the white god. It is easy to understand that the supreme rulers of the black and white gods are the black and white gods. They also represent the pinnacle of the world and are the supreme gods who created the world. What is the fight between these two if not the beginning of the decisive battle between gods? Countless people were horrified. Even the appearance of those giant monsters several kilometers away was not as shocking as the battle between the two creation gods. Fortunately, as for the black god, the young black god took a step back as calmly as water, leading himself and his strong clone into the black space. The white god watched the black god leave without any obstruction. The battle of the creation gods did not appear. Fortunately. I don't know how many people felt relieved. Young master, After Jia Yan left, the female military god of the White God series felt extremely bitter. White Dolphin waved his hand and said, "Actually, I have guessed that the result will be like this. You are a bit arrogant. What you understand outside the world will not be understood in this world. This is your weakness, you are too rational." The female military god chewed it for a while, sighed and nodded. She understood what the White Dolphin was saying. In the outside world, she knew that she was no match for Jia Yan and might not be able to bear even a face-to-face encounter, so she tried her best not to meet Jia Yan. But in this world, she was too rational and considered various factors, thinking that under the protection of a star-level powerhouse, she could not be in danger. So he came to Jia Yan. Facts have proved that even if he is a clone of this world, even if he is held back by the star level, Jia Yan is still Jia Yan. The ability of the senior domain master is not something she thinks she can calculate, but she will really be calculated. Young master, I will write a good report this time when I go back. Fortunately, I was not killed by Jia Yan. In the confrontation just now, I discovered several of his weaknesses. I will sort them out for you later. Maybe they will be helpful to you. Fighting him helped a little bit. The White Dolphin's eyes showed strange colors. He didn't say anything after that, just nodded. Then look at the huge star-level monster. It was clearly thousands of times larger than the White Dolphin and the others, but when the White Dolphin turned its attention to it, the star-level creature actually trembled unconsciously. "Sir, the villain can't hold back Jia Yan. It's the villain who is incompetent. Please punish him." Unexpectedly, the White Dolphin did not get angry, but showed a gentle smile. "It's not your fault. Jia Yan's ability should not be so restricted by a mere star level, otherwise I would not summon so many star levels to enter. This world is over, you don't have to blame yourself." "Yes, thank you for your kindness." The female military god frowned. "Young master, it is because of your attitude that you have been unable to gain everyone's support as you wish. Sometimes, as a superior, necessary punishment is necessary." The stellar monster looked ugly. "Female military goddess, is it necessary to be such a bitch?" White Dolphin raised his eyebrows and said, "How I act depends on my heart. If they don't want to be convinced, that's their business. It's impossible for me to imitate my father." The female military god sighed and said no more. As the white dolphin moved its fingertips, a huge six-pointed star appeared in the starry sky. The magical light is like the true divine presence, and there are vaguely cute little angels flying around in the hexagram formation. Under the bursts of divine sounds, the white dolphin, the female military goddess, and the huge star-level monster, all wrapped in the center of the magic circle. After an instant, these people disappeared and were teleported to an unknown distance. Shirakami is indeed Shirakami-sama. This magical teleportation ability will probably be difficult for us to match in our lifetime. Such a giant creature was teleported away like this, what a miracle. After the two gods of black and white left the scene, the white gods were extremely impressed. Some smart people had quickly approached the place where the white dolphin had cast its teleportation magic. They wanted to comprehend as much of the true meaning of magic as possible before the magic energy disappeared. You know, this is magic performed by the Creator God himself. As long as you can understand 1/10,000th of it, you may have a chance to enter the invincible realm in this life. As for the invincible state, it is even possible to transcend invincibility, and perhaps advance to the divine level based on this understanding. At the same time, some members of the White God Department discovered that the Black Robes, the few ordinary combat forces of the Black God Department here, were secretly retreating towards the martial arts star, dripping with sweat. Although the Black and White gods have retreated, this also highlights the weakness of the Black God system's combat power. With just a few of them, fighting against a frontline force of the White gods was tantamount to seeking death. There is an order from the top, no pursuit. As for the White God Department, someone was just about to make a move. Unexpectedly, a voice transmission came and recited, causing them to stop immediately. Therefore, the dejected men in black robes retreated to the martial arts star in embarrassment. But what they didn't expect was that when they entered the martial arts star, they ran into another group of gangs. They were the frontline troops who went to the martial arts star to prepare for a decisive battle with the black-robed men, and the group of white-robed men who had been wrestling with the black-robed men on the martial arts star for a long time. The two sides passed each other. The people in black robes were sweating, but nothing happened. The two sides looked at each other, and the men in white robes were even more helpless. The reason is simple. The two gods of black and white have reached a compromise. Whether they are frontline troops or white-robed men, from the perspective of the creation god, they are all low-level troops. How can they dare to disobey the holy order? I'm scared to death. Perhaps the two creator gods have made a cease and desist agreement. Unexpectedly, the martial arts star belongs to us. Everyone felt that they were saved from desperate situations. With the 3 or 2 kittens they had, if a battle started just now, they wouldn't even be enough to fill the teeth of the front-line troops. After reaching the ground, these masters above the level of venerables were all in high spirits, preparing to talk to their subordinates and brag about the two gods they had seen. However, what they didn't expect was that when this group of people came to the place where the black robes gathered, which was Taiguo Green Water Beach, they saw something that made them tremble. Ah! Black. The hair on this group of people's bodies stood on end, just shy of having a myocardial infarction on the spot. Because they saw the strong man sitting in the top position here. It was impossible for the black god boy to be present, but his clone, the strong man, still didn't leave and was sitting there, as if the big event that just happened had nothing to do with him. Several adults are back, but you can't come back faster than this adult. The adults refuse to tell us what happened just now. Can you tell us? That's right. What's going on the front line? There was too much movement just now. We thought this martial arts star was going to be destroyed. That's right, adults, please answer our questions quickly. When the black robes saw the return of several venerable figures, they immediately gathered around to watch this. Several people looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Can we still say that there is a battle at the level of the creation god above, and the old man in front of you is the clone of our immediate boss, the highest ranking black god in the entire pantheon? Black God himself didn't say anything, so it's appropriate for them to say. Could it be that Lord Kurakama still wants to hide his identity? Ahem, there was a big battle just now, it was very dangerous. Is it very dangerous? Sir, how dangerous is it? Could it be that the invincible realm took action? No, no, it's much scarier than attacking in the invincible realm. I just told you, that level of momentum is not something that can be exerted by the invincible realm. Could it be that, one of our god-level adults took action? That's it? Don't make any guesses. If there is a chance in the future, you will know. Alright. Everyone showed great reverence. After all, a god-level attack was like a fight between gods to them, but it was a pity that they had no chance to see it. Okay, this matter will probably change soon, but our support will soon arrive on this planet. Although we no longer have to worry about safety issues, we must be prepared to welcome the army that follows. Get ready, you all go and get busy. Yes. Everyone left one after another. Only the few venerable masters and the black-robed woman stayed where they were. The venerables naturally stayed to meet with Lord Black God. As for the woman in black robe, her mission from 10 days ago was to monitor Jia Yan. So she didn't leave. At this time, the woman was doubtful, looking at a group of venerables and Jia Yan, who was sitting at the top with a golden sword and a broad horse. Although the previous group of venerables had always respected this black-robed strongman whose real name was unknown after they learned about Jia Yan's strength, she had a vague feeling that this time they had no respect for Jia Yan. His attitude was a bit too respectful. Could it be that this black-robed man is not just an ordinary invincible, but has other great backgrounds? For example, the kind of invincibility that was personally taught by the Black God. Thinking of this, even her expression changed. Having been pointed out by the Black God, you are in the invincible realm among many, and it is definitely an extremely noble treatment, which means that even the Black God recognizes you. This kind of recognition is not only based on strength. In fact, among the invincible realms that have been pointed out by the Black God, there are also invincible realms that are not outstanding in terms of strength. But being able to be personally received by the Black God shows that the invincible person has made great contributions to the Black God system and his status is recognized by the gods. It is equivalent to some kind of meritorious service. Being met by the Black God is invincible. In the following days, his treatment and status will be increased several times. The female in black robe was surprised and uncertain. However, the fact made her unable to imagine it at all, and she was immediately stunned. Because after she speculated on several possibilities, she saw those black-robed masters at the venerable level kneeling down to Jia Yan directly in front of her. I have met my Lord God. I have met my God. I didn't know that my God was coming in person before, so I was disrespectful to my God, so I asked my God to forgive me. The female black robe felt her legs and feet go weak, almost paralyzing on the spot. What did she hear? Her eardrums were buzzing, and she looked at the strong man who was still sitting upright in an incredibly dull manner. This person. Is he not a mortal? But God. And he is not even an ordinary God, but the King of gods who created the world, the Black God, who is admired by all people, above all people, supreme and extremely noble. My mother. The woman in black robe felt her heartbeat instantly increase by hundreds of speeds, her delicate body was instantly soaked with sweat, and watermarks appeared on her black robe. Scared to pee? No. Even she wouldn't admit it. Thank you for your hard work, please stay safe. Jia Yan's eyes were calm. Yes. Several venerables stood up respectfully, while some frowned and looked at the woman whose expression didn't seem to change, with some unpleasant expressions on their faces. Is this woman, who thinks she is a bit of a weak figure, just raising her tail in the air and disrespecting Lord Kurakami even if she knows his true face? It's too much. But at this moment, no one dared to show up and correct him. After all, this woman has been following the Black God's clone for a long time. God knows what relationship she has with the Black God's clone. Maybe she will become the mother of the gods when she comes back. Her mother's grace will be in the world, how can they dare to offend her? Of course, the possibility is very small. Everyone knows that there are differences between gods and mortals, let alone black gods. How can they be compared to ordinary and vulgar gods? In short, the possibility exists, but they don't dare. Now that you know my identity, please hide it a little. In the past few days, I also want to use this clone to inspect the front-line affairs. I hope you can cooperate with Shiyuan. Yes, we will naturally try our best to cooperate with my god. Everyone nodded quickly. After chatting with the group of venerables for a while, he also said that he had made an agreement with Bai Shen that there would be no war within a month. After reassuring the venerables, Jia Yan ordered the group of black-robed venerables to retreat. Looking back, I met the anxious gaze of the woman in black robe. How? More than 100 words are missing to prevent piracy. Come to Cheateon.com and subscribe for the official version. You will be able to see it after refreshing in an hour. When you turn back, you will become the mother of the gods. Her mother will be the world. How can they dare to offend her? Of course, the possibility is very small. Everyone knows that there are differences between gods and mortals, let alone black gods. How can they be compared to ordinary and vulgar gods? In short, the possibility exists, but they don't dare. Now that you know my identity, please hide it a little. In the past few days, I also want to use this clone to inspect frontline matters. I hope you can cooperate. Yes, we will naturally try our best to cooperate with my god. Everyone nodded quickly. After chatting with the group of venerables for a while, he said that he had made an agreement with Bai Shen that there would be no war within a month. After reassuring the venerables, please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2850. Greenwater Beach, the entire beach, lake, and stream, is filled with a vague and mysterious atmosphere. The black-robed messengers persuaded Jia Yan to agree to create a mysterious atmosphere. The black god should be bright and beautiful. Moreover, Jia Yan's previous actions were also covered by the aura of the gods, and everything became noble and perfect. Even if you know that he is not perfect, you cannot tell the truth to others. Oh my god! The reinforcements have arrived and are on standby 10,000 kilometers away from the martial arts star. Let the commander of the army come to me. Jia Yan sat bohemianly leaning against the table and chair, holding a glass of wine in his hand. The woman in black robe who bowed out respectfully looked deeply at Jia Yan as she left. Even drinking is so cool, I'm so handsome. The muttering after going out made Jia Yan almost drop the wine bottle in his hand. This is the impact of having the black god's aura. Even if you sit here and eat shit, they will praise you, and they even really think that shit tastes good. Of course Jia Yan wouldn't be so disgusted by eating shit. Tisk, tisk, since the birth of this clone, I have never enjoyed the feeling of so many stars holding the moon. I didn't expect this feeling to be quite comfortable. My subordinates asked to see my god. Come in. Before long, a familiar-looking man entered the door. It turned out to be one of the immortal cultivators that Jia Yan had befriended when he was trying to seize control of the Xian Shen star. The group of veteran beings who helped Jia Yan conquer the country are now ascending to heaven. Those who are strong enough, and those who are not strong enough, have extraordinary status. Are you the leader of this trip? He is a subordinate who has met my Lord God. When the man saw Jia Yan's unfamiliar appearance, he didn't look down on him at all. Even though Jia Yan does not look like the young man he is familiar with, The black god of creation is ever-changing and has countless identities, which seems normal to him. You don't have to be so respectful. I know about you. You fought for me back then and I spoke highly of you. Now I'll leave this battlefield to you, so I can rest assured. Thank you, Lord God, for your approval. After Jia Yan's lecture, the battlefield was officially handed over to this person. After the formalities were completed, he said meaningfully, "This place may not be as the staff thought in the future. It will only be on the edge of the battlefield. Please investigate the surrounding area carefully and report to me immediately if you find anything." "Yes. See you later, then." As he spoke, the middle-aged man raised his head, only to find that the strong black god in front of him gradually turned into black clouds and passed away in the wind. He didn't dare to look any further and quickly bowed his hands and sent the black god away. After a while, Jia Yan, a young man who is on the god of faith, is handing over the contents of the meeting to his subordinates. Well. His body trembled imperceptibly. Without attracting anyone's attention, Jia Yan continued to discuss the content of the meeting. "My God, I just felt a mysterious aura. I wonder what this is. Don't worry, it's just that my energy accidentally leaked out." Jia Yan explained calmly, and his subordinates said no more. "This clone is really interesting. Why don't you continue hanging around outside, take the initiative to disperse your consciousness, and return to my black god clone?" Jia Yan was very interested in chewing the memory and power of the strong clone. Although they are both Jia Yan's clones, the black god clone is obviously of a higher level. In other words, there is no problem in treating him as Jia Yan himself. Although the other clones are not able to compete with him. But more or less, I want to maintain an independent personality for a long time. We are all Jia Yan, why do you want us to focus our energy on your black god clone? Thinking this way too much, many clones are even willing to die with the enemy's god-level masters, and are unwilling to return to Jia Yan's black god clone. This is actually a big problem, but considering that this move is just happening in the artificial world, Jia Yan doesn't take it seriously. If a clone chaos occurs in the galaxy, Jia Yan may be very nervous. After all, he has learned from the past. The strong man's clone returned directly to the black god's clone, which meant that the strong man's clone would disappear unless Jia Yan created another one. But it's not necessary. The reason for the return of the strong man's clone is also very simple, that is, it is difficult to communicate with some self-thinking issues. It is better to merge into one again, and he will become a consciousness of the black god Jia Yan. There is no problem of being unable to communicate. The battlefield over there is so important. Jia Yan was persuaded by the clone last time and ran to protect the law in person. As a result, he and Bai Shen had a conflict, which almost led to a war between the creation gods. After he came back, he still had some regrets and shouldn't have been so impulsive. But it's not a loss. After all, he resolved the difficulty of the martial arts star. In addition, he also learned that the white dolphin actually mastered the means of a star-level powerhouse. But after he turned around, he still didn't take the starry sky of martial arts star into his heart. No, what I was discussing with my subordinates just now was how to fight the white gods on the cultivation star and several fronts. But after absorbing the idea of strong Jia Yan's memory, he suddenly realized that there might be some kind of important front on the other side of the martial arts star. The white dolphins used star-level existences in this battle. Perhaps in addition to wanting to take revenge, they are also subtly competing for dominance in the areas around the martial arts star. Jia Yan thought hard. When fighting a white dolphin, the things you need to think about become complicated. Even Aditha may not be useful, because she is in the intellectual thinking mode, and at least so far, she is far from being a scheming person. Just like the white dolphin suddenly attacks a star-level powerhouse, this is an unexpected event for Edisha, who can only think linearly. No matter how good her plan is, she cannot calculate that the powerhouse has various variables, and even does not meet the requirements. Common sense variables, no matter how powerful the calculation is, are useless. The mortals in this created world seem to be diverse, and they all have strong personalities. Unfortunately, for a linear thinking brain like Aditya, they can almost plot against them, because they have become real beings. The physical time is too short, and the complexity and variability are far from being at a level that would strain even a brain like Aditya. Aditya comes to play. Said CAO has arrived. A short calf kicked open the black space and got out of the crack. The cute and adorable little Aditya, who has a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain, sneaked up to Jia Yan's altar, grabbed a spiritual fruit and stuffed it into her little mouth. It's a Aditya, someone was chasing me just now. Aditya, why are you in such a mess? Jia Yan put down his thoughts and looked at Aditya in surprise. This little guy's face was black and his skirt was missing corners, as if he had been burned. Very embarrassed. Aditya is undercover, someone is chasing her, and she runs back. It's so exciting. Aditya was laughing loudly and her face was red. She seemed to be the kind of child who was stimulated. The more stimulated she became, the more she wanted to laugh. Jia Yan asked strangely, "What about Jia Lin?" Aditya was startled, holding the spirit fruit in her hand and looking back, then at the crack she had drilled. With a snap, the spirit fruit fell to the ground and was no longer fragrant. Wow, Jia Lin is missing. She didn't follow her. Aditya goes back to save her. Aditya lifted up her skirt and rushed back anxiously. But Jia Yan held her hand, and the little girl was skating on the ground with her short legs, sliding and sliding. Don't worry, I have a backup plan for you and others. Jia Lin should be fine. You should rest first and talk about how things are going lately. Jia Yan actually didn't care about Jia Lin's life or death. Aditya was stunned again. Yeah, Aditya is relieved. Then she felt relieved and ran to the spiritual fruit carelessly, picked it up, wiped it on her skirt, stuffed it into her mouth and ate it. It tasted delicious. We went undercover, and there was a dog following us. Then Aditya and Jia Lin sold spiritual weapons. There are so many people. Aditya dances and is very good at exaggerating the atmosphere. She laughed so hard that she said, then a spaceship came. Aditya shouted explosion and the spaceship blew up. Jia Lin shouted explosion and another ship blew up. They ran away. I was so happy. Jia Yan sorted out her incoherent words and roughly knew what she meant. The purpose of these two little guys running behind the White God Department was to cause destruction, and many of the series of incidents behind the White God Department were caused by the two of them. In addition, the biggest destructive event that Aditya thought was the many spiritual weapons she and Jia Lin sold. Each of these spiritual weapons has great effects. But it was impossible for Aditya to cooperate with the enemy and sell useful spiritual weapons to the senior officials of the White God Department. However, the spiritual weapons that those people paid a lot of money to obtain were indeed useful, and they could even use them normally for a short period of time. Until one day, they faced the Black God-type troops, or came in front of Aditya. Aditya only needed to remotely control and use technology beyond this world to activate the hidden backdoors in the spiritual weapons. Every weapon would explode on the spot. The power depends on the energy level of the spiritual weapon, at least it is at a level that a novice venerable cannot withstand. How many spiritual weapons have you sold during this period? How many have been discovered? Jia Yan didn't boast, nor did he agree at all, he just asked calmly. From the beginning to the end, he was not too concerned about the plans of the two little ones in Aditya. Because the failure rate of this matter is extremely high. For example, this time, if Aditya and the others are discovered, the White God Department knows that there is something wrong with the large number of spiritual weapons they sold. If they conduct a thorough investigation, they may not be able to confiscate them all, but this will definitely prevent huge losses in the future. Being discovered once would result in all previous efforts being wasted, which is why Jia Yan is not very interested. It was just for the two kids to play. Adisha and Jia Lin together sold 300 pieces. It's amazing. Guachi Gucci. Adisha said proudly, applauding herself, and Wang Po was selling her melons and boasting about herself. The following word count is to prevent piracy. Come to Cheateon.com to subscribe. After a while, you can see the entire content of this chapter by refreshing the original version. Thank you for your support. This little guy has a black face and corners of his skirt, as if he has been burned. Very embarrassed. Adisha is undercover, someone is chasing her, and she runs back. It's so exciting. Aditha was laughing loudly and her face was red. She seemed to be the kind of child who was stimulated. The more stimulated she became, the more she wanted to laugh. Jia Yan asked strangely, "What about Jia Lin?" Adisha was startled, holding the spirit fruit in her hand and looking back, then at the crack she had drilled. With a snap, the spirit fruit fell to the ground and was no longer fragrant. Wow, Jia Lin is missing. She didn't follow her. Adisha goes back to save her. Adisha lifted up her skirt and rushed back anxiously. But Jia Yan held her hand, and the little girl was skating on the ground with her short legs, sliding and sliding. Don't worry, I have a backup plan for you and others. Jia Lin should be fine. You should rest first and talk about how things are going lately. Jia Yan actually didn't care about Jia Lin's life or death. Adisha was stunned again. Yeah, Adisha is relieved. Then she felt relieved and ran to the spiritual fruit carelessly, picked it up, wiped it on her skirt, stuffed it into her mouth and ate it. It tasted delicious. We went undercover, and there was a dog following us. Then Adisha and Jia Lin sold spiritual weapons. He, there are so many people. Aditha dances and is very good at exaggerating the atmosphere. She laughed so hard that she said, "Then a spaceship came." Adisha shouted explosion and the spaceship blew up. Jia Lin shouted explosion and another ship blew up. They ran away. I was so happy. Jia Yan sorted out her incoherent words and roughly knew what she meant. These two little guys went to the back of the Bashan department for the purpose of causing destruction, and many of the series of incidents behind the White Gods were caused by the two of them. In addition, the biggest destructive event that Adisha thought was the many spiritual weapons she and Jia Lin sold. Each of these spiritual weapons has great effects. But it was impossible for Adisha to cooperate with the enemy and sell useful spiritual weapons to the senior officials of the White God Department. However, the spiritual weapons that those people paid a lot of money to obtain were indeed useful, and they could even use them normally for a short period of time. Until one day, they faced the Black God-type troops, or came in front of Adisha. Adisha only needed to remotely control and use technology beyond this world to activate the hidden backdoors in the spiritual weapons. Every weapon would explode on the spot. The power depends on the energy level of the spiritual weapon, at least it is at a level that a novice venerable cannot withstand. How many spiritual weapons have you sold during this period? How many have been discovered? Jia Yan didn't boast, nor did he agree at all, he just asked calmly. From the beginning to the end, he was not too concerned about the plans of the two little ones in Adisha. Because the failure rate of this matter is extremely high. For example, this time, if Adisha and the others are discovered, the White God Department knows that there is something wrong with the large number of spiritual weapons they sold. If they conduct a thorough investigation, they may not be able to confiscate them all, but this will definitely prevent huge losses in the future. Being discovered once would result in all previous efforts being wasted, which is why Jia Yan is not very interested. It was just for the two kids to play. Adisha and Jia Lin together sold 300 pieces. It's amazing. Guachi Gucci. Adisha said proudly, applauding herself, and Wang Po was selling her melons and boasting about herself. The following word count prevents piracy. Come to cheateon.com to subscribe. After a while, you can see the entire content of this chapter by refreshing the genuine version. Thank you for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2851. Inside the Black God System. Recently, he has returned to the days of having his two children by his side, making Jia Yan feel like he was in a trance, returning to the days when he first came to this world. How fun it was back then. The entire world was my own private copy. Forces had to be fought over one by one. Planets had to fly back and forth slowly. Everything was unknown. So when it comes to when is the most fun, it's the days of pioneering, right? It's a pity that things have changed and people have changed. In the past few years, some external signs have begun to appear. That is, the strong balances the strong, the weak balances the weak, and those in high positions sit in a state of plain food. From an essential point of view, they are no different from the outside world. So Jia Yan feels very tired recently. Fortunately, the two little guys returned to the Black Temple. Based on their relationship with Jia Yan, they didn't care about the difference in status, so there was more of a smell of fireworks. Jia Lin, if you keep stealing from Adisha, I'll never be done with you. I didn't steal it. Last time you were on the White God Sword God Star, you snatched my Sword God fruit. That person clearly said it was for me to eat. That's nonsense, he said. Give us a piece to eat. Their noses were crooked with anger, and they accused each other of having wrong memories. Jia Yan also wanted to comment. He originally said to ask the person involved, but Edisha said, that person has been killed by them, and Jia Yan immediately stopped. That's all, there is no proof, you can argue as much as you like. Don't make any noise here. The underworld has been developed well recently. You might as well go to the underworld for a stroll. No matter how much fireworks there are, there must be limits. Jia Yan was annoyed by the noise and simply suggested that the girls should go and make trouble in their own territory. Out of sight, out of mind. We have always been in the underworld. Edisha looked like she didn't want to go. Jia Lin also nodded desperately. Actually, we have always been in the underworld, and we only go to the White God planet occasionally. Okay, I don't know why I'm chasing them away now. Well, the front line is about to prepare for war, but I am thinking about where to choose as the main war location. You can go to the front line for me and take a look. Reply to me within 3 days. I will choose a place from your intelligence as the main place. What was the location of the war? Jia Yan gave the two little girls several options and asked them to personally use God-level power to tear apart the space and go over to watch. This can be regarded as leaving the trouble to the God-level subordinates on the front line and letting them have a headache. Okay. Adisha loves to play the most, not to mention that the front line is so lively. For a person like her who loves to join in the fun, it is like paradise there. The two little girls went away happily. Quietness returned to Jia Yan's side, and it was estimated that he would no longer think about the hustle and bustle for several days. Recalling the various abilities and tricks that the white dolphin had shown in front of his eyes this time, he had actually been quite uneasy. The clone of the investigation has passed, and I don't know what to gain. In fact, he has been secretly observing the martial arts stars' doubts and takes them very seriously. However, a clone was sent there, and several days have passed, but nothing has been gained. There was nothing wrong with him. After careful consideration, he opened a crack above the cultivation star. The raging war has already filled this planet, and the waves of turbulence caused have already changed the entire Xiaoxian star beyond recognition. The war has displaced countless people and broken up countless families. But at the same time, the concept of the black and white god system spread throughout the planet. In addition, the second-line troops walking on the planet as messengers of the black and white gods from both sides of the black and white gods also brought about fundamental changes to the planet. Countless scientific and technological concepts from the outside world, as well as more rational and scientific governance concepts, have spread throughout the planet. Moreover, due to the huge amount of cultivation resources on the immortal cultivation star, as well as the unique and powerful system and concepts of cultivating immortals, even if he goes to the outside world, he is still outstanding compared with other cultivating civilizations. Therefore, it is reflected in wealth. Anyone with some resources on the big star can easily purchase various undefended items. Of course, such items can only be purchased through the control of the black and white gods. To put it bluntly, the black and white gods are dumping a large amount of goods and supplies. Therefore, very strange pictures can be seen on the Xiaoxian star today. For example, a cultivator who is flying on a flying sword is chatting with his friend who is flying in a spaceship. When he gets excited, the cultivator on the flying sword takes out a tablet with ordinary performance, clicks on the screen, and shares it with the other party. The two of them laughed and passed by like a spring breeze. Where the two flew past, the air tore apart, and a young man emerged from it across the void. This planet has become quite interesting. Jia Yan looked at the backs of the two people. Naturally, it was impossible for them to know that there was such a big boss presence behind them. Jia Yan toured along the road. He was not in a hurry, and simply took it as consideration for the people's sentiments and watched and observed. Below the earth, most of them were ruins, and in some distant locations, battles were going on one after another. Up to now, it is not just the black and white factions that are fighting each other. Historical grudges, as well as the annexation of materials and the grabbing of territory between the forces are all the reasons for the battle. In large and small battles, Jia Yan did not see any black and white people involved. It was basically the local forces on the immortal star that were fighting. He was wandering in the world, and his heart was calm. It seems that they caused this incident, but it doesn't mean that he will take the blame for it. Justice is never absolute. In fact, he never claimed to be righteous, and he only acted according to his heart. So he will save people, but he will also cause people to be destroyed. This is a bit strange. The flying sword is attacking with spiritual energy, but the mortals are picking up guns and fighting back. Until over a certain land, Jia Yan discovered an interesting scene. There are people under the banner of mortal troops, using weapons bought from unknown alien forces to attack a small sect with firepower. It was missile fire and firearms fire suppression again, which made the sect complain incessantly. They could only drive their mountain guard formation and cower inside. A man holding a gun looked excited. "Sir, I wonder how the war is progressing." Suddenly he heard the young man's voice in his ear. The man looked back and his expression suddenly changed, trying not to point his gun at the young man who had appeared inexplicably. How did you show up? Are you from our army?" "Probably not, my friend, please let me know how the war is progressing." Jia Yan didn't use any of his power, but there was a magnanimity in his words that only belonged to the Black God. It was impossible for ordinary people to resist, and he spontaneously spoke out the information. "We are the mortal army that has arisen recently. As long as we have the heart to resist the monks, we can join the mortal army and own these guns. There are also people who teach and train us to use technological weapons to fight against the monks." "Oh, how's the effect?" "It's okay. Small sects can't resist our strength, but medium-sized sects are probably not something that our mortal army can fight against. However, recently our mortal army has wielded more powerful weapons. Those medium-sized sects you can only look down upon me and others and dare not act rashly. A big killer." Jia Yan nodded and quickly disappeared from the eyes of this mortal soldier. It wasn't until he left that the mortal soldier felt as if cold water had been poured over his head. Looking around, no one noticed that the young man had just arrived. Could it be a dream? The soldier was worried. Whether it would have any impact on his military career would depend on the future. In short, he was feeling unhappy and had withdrawn from this battle. The sergeant is not the key point of our story. It is only said that Jia Yan walked through the streets and alleys, walking on the ground without causing any waves. After a while, he arrived at the center of the largest continent in the entire Xiaoxian star. Here stands the largest immortal cultivating sect known to everyone on the mainland. At the same time, it is also a force supported by the publicly recognized Black God sect, Xin Chen sect. It is said that stars once fell in the Xingqianmen area, causing the entire Xingqianmen to sink compared with its surroundings, hence the name Xingqianmen. Senior sister, the leader, the situation in the entire continent has been affecting my whole body recently. I wonder if the senior sister, the leader, is ready for a full-scale war. In the main hall of the head of the Xin Chen sect, the graceful woman was reporting the situation. Today, Qingwan has taken control of many departments of Xin Chen sect. She gradually becomes a strong woman. However, she did not dare to have any thoughts of resisting the leader Qingling. Even after learning more about her, the fear of Qingling in her heart grew stronger. After Qingwan learned about the concept of the dual systems of black and white, the dual gods of creation and black and white, and the other two major systems of creation, she had a strong premonition in her heart. The status of the head senior sister is probably not too low in the black god system. In fact, she had already made a guess in her heart, that it was the head senior sister, maybe a black god type deity. Because she had several big fights with some high-ranking officials of the white god department in front of them, Qingling did not suffer any losses, and it was often the white god department that suffered the loss. That kind of fighting level, even thinking about it now, King Juan's back is wet with sweat. Qingwan, do I need your permission to prepare for war? Recently, your hands have been stretched a bit too long. I don't dare, senior sister. Junior sister is just worried after learning that the white god system is powerful. You don't need to worry about this. Our black god sect and our white god sect are at odds with each other. Their white god sect is strong, so naturally my black god sect is not bad either. Suddenly, there was a hint of excitement in Qingling's eyes. She said calmly, please step back, we will discuss it next time. Qingwan nodded absently and retreated. She thought her head sister was beating her up again. In fact, she thought too much. It was not Qingling's turn to think too much for a little girl on a cultivating immortal star. Qingling was just greeting the distinguished guests. I've met Master Jia Yan. As the young figure walked out of the black space with elegant steps, Qingling saluted. No need to be polite, Jia Yan waved his hand, but couldn't help but add, you are acting more and more like a woman. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to change back after you go out? So far, Jia Yan still thinks that Qingling is male. Qingling almost spit out blood. She really wanted to say that she was a female, but after several similar incidents, she found that she had missed the best time to prove herself. Now that Jia Yan said that she was used to it, she was afraid that if she corrected herself, it would be regarded as sophistry. Sir, what is the purpose of your coming here this time? She simply didn't dwell on this point, but the enthusiasm in her words dropped a lot. I haven't seen you for many days, but you are still the same, iceberg beauty. Jia Yan was quite joking, but when people didn't mess with him, it also made him feel like his strength was hitting cotton, which was boring for a while. Under the gaze of the other party, he said calmly, I'm here to inform you that the divine war has begun. I think the first and biggest battle to break out is your cultivation star. Are you ready? Qingling fell into deep thought, then nodded. I believe this planet is ready. Your Excellency can send troops here as much as possible. In addition, according to my observation, the Xiaoxian planet has a lot of talent resources. If we can fight to a draw, it will be a great help in the future. I know this too, so I need your help. After all, I haven't been here long enough, and as your avatar was born locally and has been working here for several years, you should know more about it. Please give me more, do your part. I will. The two of them talked to each other and complimented each other on many related matters. I have great trust in Qingling Jiayan. It's not that she is loyal, but that she absolutely agrees with her ability. Among the group of strong foreigners supporting the Orion arm, she and the old domain lord may be the only ones who can decide between the three major domain lords, and their strength is obvious to all. He doesn't act like the old domain lord. After entering this world, he let himself go and became a breeding tiger. She is still as proud and decent as she is in the outside world. As you and I said, let's start the war here. I will transfer my troops here in the next 2 days. The two talked for a short time, hit it off immediately, and efficiently decided on a major war affairs office. But sir, are you planning to provoke the war first, or to lure the white gods to take the initiative? These two options have completely different methods of action, and may even lead to different results of the war. Qingling broke the casserole and asked what happened. This is indeed a problem. Let me ask you, do you want you to take the initiative to start a war here, or to instigate affairs for the other party to take action first? Jia Yan said that he was indeed unfamiliar with this place. And to show respect, letting Qingling, a local, make the decision is also one of the tricks to give her face. Qingling rarely made a beautiful curve from the corners of her lips. Perhaps she felt Jia Yan's respect for her. Lord Jia Yan, I think we should take the initiative. Oh. Jia Yan felt a little fresh. In the dispute between the black and white gods, although the white gods suffer every time, in fact, most of the time it is the white gods who take the initiative to stir up trouble. The black god system is weak in strength, and there are still some opportunities for defensive counterattacks, but in proactive attacks, the personnel and equipment are all at a disadvantage, so it is difficult to determine the outcome. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2852. Qingling can't help but know this. Could it be that her temper is still that fiery? Jia Yan has not forgotten that Qingling is an absolute thorn in his hands, like a hedgehog, no one will accept her. So you want to take the initiative? Sir, I have my own reasons for making this decision. Qingling was calm and didn't mean to say something shocking, she just told the truth. I took on a total of about 10 attacks from the White God system in this cultivation star. The White God system has attacked 10 times, Jia Yan was a little confused and a little surprised. Why didn't he know that the White God department had attacked the immortal cultivation star so many times, and wasn't he the boss of the Black God department? You didn't even mention this kind of information? Qingling waved her hands as if it didn't matter, this is just a side detail, don't worry about it. No, can I not care? If everyone like you doesn't report information to me, what's the point of me being the boss? Jia Yan opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Qingling put on an expression of how can a man be so mother-in-law and held back his words. My fight with the white gods is just a follow-up to the first fight. If no major changes have occurred, I will naturally not inform you. Explaining in an understatement, she continued, through several visits to test me, it can be seen that Bai Shen regards the cultivating superstar as seriously as we do. If you think they have no other plans to occupy this star, then it would be too much to look down on them. Jia Yan nodded. The geographical environment, location, resources, and population of the Xiaoxian star are all too important. The Black God system can be so focused on this place, and there is no reason why the White God system cannot understand the importance of this place. That's why Jia Yan is worried that a war is about to break out here, and the Black God Department may fail due to lack of manpower. Qingling said eloquently, and through several battles and secret inquiries, I know that the White God Department has already deployed a large number of God-level masters on this star of cultivating immortals to prepare for the war, and my reason for attacking first is to be stronger. We can use the different positions of these God-level experts to catch them off guard and defeat them one by one. Oh? Is there such a thing? You can describe their positions and I will make a decision after taking a look at them. Qingling seemed to dislike the trouble, but she didn't point it out. Instead, she reached into the drawer and took out the book that had turned white from studying. There are various tactics and strategies in the picture above. It can be seen that Qingling, who seems to be sitting here normally, is also extremely diligent. God knows how much effort and energy she put into being the cultivating superstar by herself. Opening the page with the most records, she pointed to the various intelligence contents depicted on the page and explained to Jia Yan. It turns out that this is exactly what the White God Department arranged on the immortal cultivation star. 2 of them are stationed on this continent, and the other 4 are stationed on the other side in order to protect the smaller continent where they have dominance. There are others who are stationed on the larger island continent. There are all kinds of people, about a total of there are 8 people on this planet, and their addresses often change, and their personnel also change frequently, but the general location is like this. Have you found out all this? Jia Yan was secretly shocked. This information is not ordinary information, but information from a God-level expert. It is impossible for ordinary spies to find out. Therefore, it is very likely that Qingling herself took great risks and went to the other party to find out the information. What courage and ability this requires. Sure enough, letting her sit in the most important place was one of the best things he did in this world. Jia Yan boasted about himself and then studied the information above. I agree to your request, and as I just said, it is best to start the war in about 3 days. You have to draw up a plan on how to start it and how to fight. If it is suitable, I will just use your plan without making any changes. Good. Qingling was in high spirits. This was the first time that Jia Yan recognized her so much. The time given by Jia Yan was about 3 days. In these 3 days, not only Qingling had to make preparations before the war and various tactical deductions, Jia Yan could also be said to be very busy. Even busier than Qingling. Once the war begins, it will no longer be the stop-and-go battle before, but will truly go all the way to the final battle. It can also be regarded as the moment for the final summary of this world war. Therefore, he not only has to look after the Xiaoxian star, but also other aspects of tactical advancement, how to prevent the enemy from using superior forces to fight on 2 fronts, and how to prevent turmoil in his own troops, etc., all need to be handled by Jia Yan personally. Adisha, this plan of yours won't work. Eh? What's wrong with Adisha? In the Black Temple, Jia Yan personally pointed out the problem with Aditha's plan, which shocked the little guy. Jia Yan pointed to several key mistakes in the plan she gave. Look, you think that the white gods will counterattack from this area, and here, you think that the white gods will be interfered by the fog bombs deployed by our superior forces. These are all problems. Jia Yan sighed. In fact, after involving the masters of the white god system, Edisha's plan began to be less effective. You can leave the things that need to be calculated to her, but when it comes to people's hearts, she is a bit far behind. War is a game, not only a game of force value, but sometimes also a game of psychology. In the past, Aditha was able to make perfect plans and often outperformed the chess players like a divine fortune teller. This was because the enemies she faced before were all natives of this world who had just shed their identity as intelligent brain robots. But when she faced someone from the outside, and a strong one at that, her problems were exposed. Too immature. The grasp of people's hearts, especially the rules of conduct of the strong, is too superficial, and I think they are all natives from before. Oh, Adisha is so hot. After hearing Jia Yan's explanation, Adisha was a little discouraged, her mouth was flat and she wanted to cry. She was devastated. Not only this time, but twice before, her design went wrong when facing a white god-level master. Therefore, she also realized that her plan would be extremely variable when compared with real life forms. Sometimes it might be accurate, but sometimes it would not be so accurate. Don't be sad. In essence, your problems are not big. There are many things we can learn from, especially in calculations and force deductions. Without your help, I am afraid that our Black God department would have lost all our pants. No, just understand the strong and continue to work hard in the future. With your advantage, it won't take long to control people's hearts. By then, I'm afraid the master, will be afraid of you. Jia Yan comforted her with a smile. Aditha jumped to her feet. Don't be afraid of Adisha. Adisha is very well behaved. Adisha will be a good child. She was furious, as if the master's alienation made her more uncomfortable than the failure of the plan. That's right, she has been by Jia Yan's side since she was born. Whether she was in Ji now or the life form Adisha was born in this world, she has been with Jia Yan like a shadow. The value of her existence is like she was with Jia Yan, and she was told by Jia Yan that he might be afraid of her, so how could she be willing to accept it? Haha, okay, I won't say any more. You continue to draw up your plan. Remember to think about people's hearts every step you take. With your computing power, it won't take long to draw up a perfect plan. I look forward to that day as soon as possible. Appear. Okay, Adisha will work hard. Adisha cheered herself up, danced and went back to her little office. 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. When he arrived on the third day, Jia Yan looked up from the mountains of documents. Even though his god-level clone was powerful, it still felt like it was being burned by the sun. I haven't seen the sun for too long, and I have been using my brain all the time, and my heart and mind are haggard. It's almost done. It's been 3 days. It's a little slower than the original plan. Jia Yan nodded, clicked on the brain, then entered the long password and entered the interface with the highest authority. Call. He took a deep breath, feeling slightly agitated again. Then gently press the red button of the Smart Brain interface. At the same time, the brains held by the god-level masters of the entire Black God department flashed blood-red images one by one. Is it finally starting? My lord has made a decision. It's time to bring this to a happy ending. Oh, this world is quite interesting. At this point, I'm still a little reluctant to let go. Everyone has different thoughts in their hearts, but the wheel of history is rolling forward. Even if there are resistors, they cannot stop the official start of the final battle between the Black and White series. On this day, the first thing to move was not the immortal cultivation star. But it was the marginal area of the Black God system on the other side of the front line, which was where Jia Yan met the female reporter and assisted in the fierce battle in that area. This area has always been quite tense. Ever since the Black God sect's main force gradually sent strong men and took over the defense and governance of the area, it has evolved into one of the more tense front lines in the entire war zone. It is almost no longer used for cultivating immortals under the big star. But overall, the takeover of the Black God department was blocked by some local powerful people, which was very unsatisfactory, resulting in the overall strength being weaker than the White God department. No one could have imagined that the first target of the Black God system's active attack would be here. Boom. At the battlefield where the local battle was taking place in the starry sky, bright lights lit up. The Black God department actually sent an invincible powerhouse to take action. It's the invincible realm. The Black Gods have come to the invincible realm. Don't they have no invincible realm in this area? Why? Damn it, the Black Gods want to trigger a total war. Several white god-type invincible masters came out to fight. Different from the fact that there had never been any invincible masters, there were white god-type invincibles stationed in this war zone. If he hadn't been worried about triggering a full-scale war, this invincible realm would have come forward to wipe out the sparse local troops of the Black Gods. Today he came forward, because the Black God Department actually had an invincible state to take action. It just so happens that my hands are cold, so I want to practice with you. The momentum of the invincible realm was like a rainbow, heading straight towards the invincible realm of the Black God type. Oh! Woody, will you practice with me? You are so brave. The man who was considered invincible smiled knowingly and turned back to look at the visitor. The flesh on the white god type Woody's face trembled as he sprinted straight in. He felt that the person in front of him was extremely terrifying. His words were sonorous and powerful, and his voice struck his heart like morning bells and evening drums. He opened his mouth and spurted blood, with a look of extreme panic on his face. Not invincible. It's God level. His grandma's, who reported to me that he was in an invincible state. Doesn't this cost me my life? The invincible white god type was frightened. He stopped and stepped back and said, "This black god type god, we have an agreement that the god level will not take action. His meaning is very simple, you are beyond your control, we will definitely not be able to defeat you, but you cannot kill me." Ah! The approaching master of the black god system had a sneer on his face. So what if he is in the invincible state? In the eyes of mortals, he is no different from a god. But in front of a true god, he is just a local chicken and a dog that is not far different from a mortal. Needless to say, since my master needs to fight, you should be the first victim. Without saying a word, the god-level master raised his hand, and a shocking power that was several times more terrifying than before surged out from his fingers like a dark cloud covering the sun. When others reacted in horror, they saw that the invincible white god had turned into the tiniest dust in the world, and even his body could not be found. This is the gap between the invincible realm and the gods. Like cloud mud. During the last battle between gods, these so-called gods were able to withstand a little bit of resistance against us. Looking at it now, they are just a bunch of people. The black god was as motionless as a mountain, and his smile didn't even increase much. Killing someone in the so-called invincible realm is quite easy for this group of outsiders. If it weren't for the top venerable outsiders in this world, they wouldn't even look at it. They could kill him with just one breath. What a fart! And in this short period of time, their gods have become stronger again, and this person is not the only one. Originally, they had only been in this world for a few years, and their understanding of the laws and abilities of the world were still extremely superficial. As time passed, their advantages emerged, and they understood more and more of the original power of the world, and their strength gradually increased. Compared to the god level in the last God War, now they can easily crush the ordinary invincible state. Naturally it is no problem. Humph, you guys from the Black God system, you dare to use the God level. Do you want to start a full-scale war? Behind the White God system, there is a powerful person corresponding to the Black God system, and the power rises in response to it from afar. There is no doubt that this is the real guardian deity of the White God family here, the White God family deity. As expected, there is a God level one. Now that I have shown up, why don't we take action and start a full-scale war without starting a full-scale war? Let's not mention it for now. We are not qualified to talk about this. Anyway, I am itchy and want to find someone to fight. The gods of the Black God system were not afraid at all. They stepped forward and rushed directly into the hinterland of the White God system. Not long after, a heart-shaking wave of fighting erupted in this area, resulting in countless casualties. A war at the level of gods has begun again. Countless people were trembling secretly in their hearts. The god-level war started again, and it was so close to the last confrontation between gods, so they understood a fact. That is, the already heated dispute between the black and white gods may have finally reached its final moment of decisive battle.